Is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Sharing the love, spreading the light in real time. Friday night love stream.
Very happy to have a guy we instantly resonated with. Unbiased and on the fence. I'm talking about Shane C. Robinson. And his purpose is to rise above the worldviews that are designed to separate us so we can unite as one.
Sometimes you have to sort of take a step back, and I think Unbiased and on the Fence is a really, really good title for your show, because you are in the central point when you're unbiased and on the fence. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're indecisive. It means you are taking the central point and you're seeing the multiple perspectives.
Unbiased and on the fence.
If you haven't checked Unbiased on the Fence, go and check his channel out. You might like it.
From Unbiased on the Fence, Shane.
If this much sincerity enters your life, come to this much. What I know, I know. What I do not know, I do not know. I don't believe anything, I don't disbelieve anything. I'm willing to look at everything. You will become a sensible human being.
Have you checked out our website?
Visit us on the web at uotf.net. You're listening to The Love Stream.
All around the world in real time.
I want to thank you for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, and for those who support this channel financially. Thank you. Lots of love and light to everyone out there.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to The Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and on the Fence.
Unbiased and on the Fence.
What is up, everybody? Friday Night Love Stream. I wanted to actually start this show out, special show, because I recently did a BQH with someone you may know. Let me make sure you're unmuted. Caller, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, if you don't recognize, that's Overprotected Sherry joining us to start this call out, because we had like a really interesting session. Really mind-blowing. And in fact, it's the first of its kind for me, where, you know, I thought I was taking Sherry back to another life that she lived, and it took me a while to realize that she was actually channeling someone in real time. And it was mind-blowing. Mind-blowing information. Once I figured out what was happening or whatever, I dove in a little bit deeper with questions about, you know, everything people are wanting to know about, you know, what's going on up there. So this was an off-world, what do you call it, a non-terrestrial being. I hate to use ET because you automatically think gray, but this person had described herself, which I thought was Sherry at first, as having a light body, like a bluish, glowing light body, wearing a jumpsuit with a patch on it, and working on the ship. She said what she would call herself in the late teens, or just a young adult. She'd been on this ship since she was 10 years old. And the interesting thing about it is, I want to just kind of preface this whole thing before we get into some of the details of what she said. But the interesting thing is that when we got done with that portion of the BQH session, Sherry didn't remember any of it. So we're talking like some law of one channeling type stuff going on. I was like, whoa, really? And then as I told her about the different things, she would have like little snapshots, little bitty images in her mind, and kind of remember things about it. Sort of like if you have a dream and you completely forget about it, and then someone was to tell you little details about the dream, and then you might start remembering little bitty snippets of it. It was like that for her, she explained it as. So also, she was identified as one of, she met, like a different part of the session, she met 6 sisters, and she ended up being part of the Seven Sisters from the Pleiades. And of course, after the session, she Googled it and found out that's another name for the Pleiades. Pleiades. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the Seven Sisters. So mind-blowing stuff. What's your impressions, Sherry, just kind of coming out of it? Was that kind of freaky, knowing that you talked for so long and just really didn't really remember any of it?
Well, yeah, it was freaky. I kind of had that happen before when I did that one with Amber, but this one was different for me because of the fact that some of this alien stuff is like a little new to me or whatever. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that some of the things that were discussed were things that I don't really believe or focus on, you know. I kind of think a little different about them than what was said. And it was weird to hear myself say things that, you know, that I wouldn't say. I don't know. It was really interesting, though. You know, I feel like that a lot of things were, you know, I don't know. And there was also things said to help me, too, so that was kind of neat.
Yeah, that was really neat. I think that's sort of validation when you kind of have in your mind how you think things are going to work out, because, and I felt the same way, too, because, you know, after having so many dates come and go and people say, well, the event, you know, some kind of event date's going to happen and we're going to have some kind of solar flash and, you know, we're all going to ascend immediately and everything. And I just felt like that was sort of hurting the movement, the Ascension movement, more than helping it, because dates will come and go and people will feel low and they'll get, you know, antsy and just hate to wait, you know, just feeling like nothing's ever going to happen. So after sort of looking into this, I'd come to the conclusion, if something does happen in an instant, great, I'd be totally happy with that. But unless something does happen, I'm just kind of in it for the long haul, because that's the best way for me personally to keep my vibrations high, is to know that, you know, we are progressing. I feel like if there's some type of event, we're already in the middle of it right now. I think so many things point to that, whether it's the sun or the Mandela effect or just the way people seem to be waking up a lot. Just things like that make me feel like it's well underway. It's in full swing right now. And on a cosmic scale, even if it took 10 or 20 years, that's still pretty much a flash in the pan on the cosmic scale. That's pretty fast. It doesn't feel like it when you're down here and you're like, I want to get out of here today and all this stuff. But, you know, 10 or 20 years isn't really a long time. And on the cosmic scale, it is pretty quick. So I've come to that conclusion that, you know, I'm not looking forward to some event or some kind of quick something happening, that it was sort of like rungs on the ladder that were sort of ascending a little at a time. And maybe we might skip a rung here and there and jump forward in awakening or whatever a little at a time. But for the most part, it's like drawn out, stretched out. Now, we didn't get any dates or anything like that. This being didn't know. They just know that they've been there for a while. She's been there for, I want to say, close to 10 years, because she was 10 years old, and she said she's in her late teens now, in Earth years. So she felt like it's been a long time for her, because she's spent over half her life on this ship. And she has this ability that other beings on the craft doesn't have. This ability to be able to communicate, not only to people like Sherry that are being hypnotized, and she said she can become a frequency match for people like that, but also talk to psychics and little children. She said she's able to talk to children. It was easier for her to communicate with children. I thought that was pretty interesting. And then I asked her if she speaks all the languages, and she said she communicates through telepathy, through thought, so it isn't really a language thing. But throughout the session, she had difficulties with certain words and not knowing certain words, and I found that interesting, that you know, just that she seemed to have difficulty getting the message across, which added validity to the whole thing for me, because it was words that Sherry would have known for sure. So, all right, so where should we start with this whole thing? I'm thinking
beginning.
Well, I'm wondering, okay, I think we should refrain. We did get her name and the name of a friend, but she wasn't supposed to be talking to us, and I don't know how communications are. I don't know if they're listening in, and we might get her in trouble or something, to be honest with you, so I'd rather her not say her name. But It was, I don't know, it wasn't really an earthly name. It was, I could pronounce it, and her friend, both of them sound like names, but I won't say it because it's kind of pointless right now, and I can only see her getting in trouble if it sort of gets back to her superiors, because they said they frown on her doing what she was doing. But for her, it was just a lot of fun. Let's talk about the games. Sherry, she said that she plays games with her friends. I thought this was pretty interesting, what she said they do.
Yeah. She said that they did things like levitate things and see who can put it the highest or whatever, and sometimes drop it on each other's head and stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it still just blows my mind. I'm sorry, it's just crazy.
Now, what's interesting that I wanted to point this out, because even before I knew it wasn't like you in a previous life talking, I was still thinking, for a long time I was thinking, this is you in a previous life, and I was trying to get information. But at one point when you said that you were wearing this jumpsuit, I asked you like what color it was, and I asked if it had a patch or insignia on it anywhere, and you responded with yes. And so I asked that you look at it, and here's the cool thing about this whole thing, and this is like, I think could be helpful to other BQH practitioners. I asked her to look at it and to remember it so that when she comes out of hypnosis, she would have a vivid image of it. I just gave her that suggestion to sort of pay attention to the colors and what she saw in it and everything. So even though Sherry didn't remember a lot of what we discussed in there, she did have that image. That image stayed with her, and she was able to explain it as looking like a molecule when she came out of it. And what were the colors on it again?
It was like a grayish purple, a grayish color with like purple tint in it. That was like the background. That was the color of their clothes, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then the logo or whatever, it looked like a molecule, or it had like lines with like bigger round things on the ends of them, kind of like toys, like Connects or something. And so it looked like a molecule, and then like I could draw it. It looked symmetrical, you know, and then at one point there was one part that was off on one side that wasn't on the other side. So I'm going to have to draw it for you.
Yeah, that's cool, though. But I just thought that giving you that suggestion, because you don't consider yourself an artist, right? But you got a good enough image of it in your mind, you can sketch it out?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not an artist.
But it was a pretty simple insignia, would you say? Like to just recreate it on paper?
Yes. Yep.
That's really cool. So what about other parts of it? Go ahead. She said what?
That it represented her sect or her people or something like that. So, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna draw it out for you and see, because it was like, you know, if you took like, I can't really explain it. You know.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain.
But did it look otherworldly to you?
It looked like a molecule. If you look up a picture of a molecule on Google or something, it kind of looked like that.
I've seen some crop circles that look like that. Was it kind of 3D looking?
Wow. No, not really. I mean, except for that it was like white with like some black around it that kind of looked like maybe shadowing, you know. You know, it was basically, it looked like it was like a patch, you know, like, you know, I don't know.
Did it look
I'm
embroidered
going to sound stupid,
you?
but you know, no, you know the V on Star Trek people?
Yeah.
Or whatever they have? Okay. Well, it looks like a little patch like that. That's what it looked like, except for that it was, you know, it was skinny lines with these little balls on the ends of them. And it made like a molecule.
Okay, so I was kind of imagining... I was imagining a square patch with a design on it, but it was more like the Star Trek V, where it wasn't in a square patch. It was just kind of on the jumpsuit with no border.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. So there was another part where I had you look at the floor, and I only bring this up because when we were talking about it in post, you remember getting a flash of what the floor looked like. But when I was talking to you and I was asking you to look around and describe everything, you said the floor looked like cork. And as soon as that part passed, you remembered seeing the floor, like almost like you zoomed in on it and got a really good view of this sort of non-stick looking cork floor or something.
Yeah, almost like I was down inside the cork, like went down in the crack of it or something. Like, it was kind of weird.
It's real porous, like.
Yeah, it's just like a cork board. Like, I can't remember what those things. A bulletin board. That's what it looked like. A bulletin board.
Mm-hmm. Now, what I found to be super interesting, because I know a lot of people talk about, you know, spiritual warfare and, you know, things going on in the unseen and stuff. One of the things that, because I was trying to, once I realized this wasn't you in a previous life, I was trying to really establish some type of terminology that we use when we're describing this sort of ascension process. And so I was using the terms that we use here as third density and fifth density. And this person said when I asked what they were waiting for up there, she said, we're here to observe the split, or we're watching the split happen. And I'm like, what are you talking about, a split? And she said there's a split in the frequencies. And I'm like, there's some type of event happening on Earth. And I said, well, is it a good thing or a bad thing? She said, well, some people aren't going to like it. And I said, well, why? And she said, well, basically she described lower frequency people as not liking it. Like, what was the word she used? She said people that were just, rageful people. What she used to describe was just lower frequency people that we encounter that, you know, they're not about the love and the light and the peace and the unity and all that stuff. So I described the 5D, 5 density people, that what we're trying to move to as being more loving and more into unity, and that we're trying to move to the 5th density. And she said, I have to correct you. It's not the 5th density that you're moving to. And I said, well, what is it? And she described it as 7 to 9. Is that what it was? 7?
Yeah.
She said we're
moving. I
moving.
wonder why no one ever says the 8th or the 6th.
I don't know.
They
question.
don't.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. So, and I found it odd that she referred to it as 7-9 and not 7-8-9 or 7 to 9. So that was her correction. She said we're moving to 7-9 and there will be a split between those. And I'm like, so those who decide to stay behind? She said, no, it's not really like they decide to stay behind. It's just a frequency match, basically. So that they would match the frequency of third density, and that's where they would stay, and that there would be a split. Everything would stay where it is, but we would basically be in the same place on a different frequency. Now, one of the parts in there, it sounded like, I don't know if she contradicted herself or didn't understand what I was saying, but it sounded like she said that the third density wouldn't see the higher density, but the higher density would see the lower density. But then it sounded like she said neither would see either. Did you discern anything from that, Sherry?
No,
or was
not
that
really.
confusing to you?
I don't remember a lot of it. To me, it sounded like it was contradictory in a way, because the way that she said it, you know. And then I don't know. And then she said they would both see each other. I don't know.
Yeah, it was sort of hard to understand you because it was like you were talking. Your voice actually sounded different. That's what it was kind of wild.
That's scary.
Is it weird to hear your voice sound different?
Yeah, and I mean, for everybody out there listening, if I sound quiet or something, it's kind of like shocking when you might have something like that happen, because you don't remember it, and then I don't know, it's like you have a missing time, you know, and I don't know, it's just kind of strange, especially when you don't think you can be hypnotized.
Well, you got to that level. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the word, but Dolores Cannon said, she said out of 30 people, you might get 1 or 2 that can hit that really deep level. and you definitely hit it. I mean, it was just strange that when we broke communication with this off-world being, and you went back to being you, and sounding like you, I mean, and you got to visit a friend that had passed away a long time ago, and I don't know, your voice just changed, and it was like that's where it all began for you. You totally blocked out that whole first beginning section and didn't remember it, and gosh, it was just mind-blowing. So while the whole thing, while the whole thing took a couple of hours, you really only picked up on the last, I don't know, 45 minutes, and that part only seemed like you said 15 or 20 minutes. So
yeah,
it's pretty wild. So I wanted to get into some of the other stuff, okay? Because what she was explaining is even within her sect. Now this is different than anything I've heard before. She made it sound like, you know, we always imagine these beings as being like all good, all benevolent, all, what's the word for it? You just imagine them being like non-dualistic, right? So when I was discussing the third density and then us moving to 7-9, I'm like, well, some of the things she had expressed to me made it sound like some of the people on her level didn't always have the best intentions for us, or, you know, not like they were malevolent intentions. They just seem to like kind of disregard us in a way, or not think of us as being like borrowing energy from us and things like that. And she said she viewed it as stealing energy from us. And so I said, you know, the level we're going to, the 7-9 density, is this, would you say this is still a dualistic level? And she said, no, it's only benevolent beings on this level. And I said, well, the level you're speaking to me from is what? And what did she say? 6-7? She said 6-7.
Oh, there was a 6 mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, she said 6-7 is where they were from. So I'm like, so we're actually, are you on your own ascension process, or are we about to like pass you up and go to a higher density than what you're at? And she said, oh no, it's an Earth event happening and we're not of Earth. That's basically how she put it. Is that right, Sherry? Is that how you remember it?
Yes. And
Okay.
I got the impression that it's almost like a whole bunch of different, just parked there for years and years and years watching and waiting for this or something.
Yeah. So that gets into the borrowing of the energy. Now, I'm only saying this not to freak people out, but it happens, and you know, a lot of people are already aware it happens. But there's like when in Christianity we would refer to it as a spiritual war going on, where there's dark, there's light. There's a lot of the fear that they put out in the media and stuff to keep us in this lower vibration is all on purpose. And what they were saying is that even although they weren't part of this, even people within their sect would take energy from humans just because they didn't know. And it was like if they don't take it, somebody will, because it's like energy that's sort of wasted out there. So I asked, how is it that they take this energy? And she just basically said, you know, through fear or anger. And I'm like, well, do they mainly feed off of lower density people or higher density people? And this was the answer that was new to me. And it was like, well, higher density people put off more energy. It's a better high, if you will, for them to feed off of a higher density being. So instead of feeding off of a lower density being, they'll trigger a lower density being to trigger a higher density being. So like get a 3D person to cut you off or piss you off or do something to you in a way that makes you triggered, and then they could feed off of the higher density being. And she explained it, and this was one of the words she didn't know, because I'm like, well, is this like food or is this like a drug? And she said, well, they do it because they're at like 6-7 density, and when they do it, it makes them feel like they're 8-9 density, which is a false, what did she say? It's like a false high. So she made it sound like they're getting high off what people will call loosh, or the energy that we put out when we're triggered and drop into a lower frequency. And I said, so it is like a drug. And she said, I don't understand the term drug. And I'm like, well, people here to feel better will do substances to make themselves feel better. And she said, well, yeah, then it's kind of like a drug then. So I asked, what do we need to do? She said, just keep your vibes high. Think about what you want and stay focused on what you want. Stay happy, do things that make you happy. And if you keep your frequency high like that, you're basically, it's like I've said it before, it's like they're ankle biters. They can't mess with you at that point. So that's really the whole reason I want to bring this out, even though it does sound kind of negative. The main point of this is knowing that if you can keep your vibes high, stay in that blissful state. I know meditating helps me a lot. I just sort of meditate in the moment and I feel good, and I just concentrate on how I feel and, you know, keep my vibes up that way. Maybe even take a moment throughout the day to take a deep breath and just, you know, recenter yourself, reground yourself. And these are things that you can do, especially if somebody triggers you, you know, because we all get triggered. It's hard not to get triggered if you're out in public. And for me, it's always in the car. Somebody cuts me off or they just won't go. Please go, for Christ's sakes. So that's my weakness. But, you know, if somebody doesn't pull out when they can and I'm stuck in traffic a little bit longer, then I sit there and take a deep breath, recenter myself. And so really that's the message of hope I'm trying to bring to this whole thing. So what else happened with the 7 sisters that you would like to talk about? You recognized one of them, did you not?
Yes, I did. And it was your wife.
My wife. So you guys are sisters. Isn't that a trip?
Evidently. And also in Debbie, whenever Megan went to Debbie Solaris, it said that different people were different people. And what's weird is that she said that me and your wife were Pleiadian. And this would match that.
Yeah.
I never heard of the term 7 sisters. And when I Googled it, it came up and said that it was the Pleiades, and then it was like the group of stars. I didn't even click on it. I was just looking at the, you know, before I even clicked on it, and it said something about. I don't know a lot of astrology, like something about Taurus, and that's like my sign. So I thought that was weird too. You know, I thought that was interesting, and I didn't recognize the other girls or anything, but it was. I don't know. I just expected to see some other people there that weren't there, I guess, maybe. That, you know, I didn't recognize the other girls.
Did they have a familiarity? Did they seem familiar in any way to you?
Oh, yeah. Yes, very much so.
Do
I
you think
felt really close to them.
Do you think it, and they were giggling a lot and stuff. That's what I thought. It was like, sort of sounded like they were happy to see you, and they're just laughing at me and, you know, happy to see me and hugging me, and that's really a trip. So do you think maybe some of them are not incarnated right now, but that's why they look familiar to you, or do you think they just look different down here and maybe you do know them?
You know, I really don't know. This is all so new to me. You know, I mean, I come from, like, I don't know, a Christian background, and, like, all the I don't know, it's just all so new to me and everything, and it's just so weird to say stuff that you're in a session like that you know, wouldn't normally say. I don't know how to explain it, but it's cool, and it's so weird because I have so many synchronicities that come up after it, where it's like for the next couple weeks after I did my first BQH and then this one, I'll just start having this little thing will come up that is like confirmation of it, and it's really amazing. And I'm so upset that I missed the show with Angie Dollar that was about her BQH with Alice. I need to go back and listen to that and see. But you know, honestly, is it Carrie? That's the only person that I've known that has channeling stuff happen when he does BQH. I mean, from what I've seen online, and I'm sure there might be others that I don't know about, but everything else seems to be like past life stuff. And what's so funny is I've always been so scared of stuff like channeling, you know. But it's really weird. But every time that it's happened, including this time though, it feels like it feels like something is like pulsating on one side of my head, and like it's trying to pull something out of it. But I don't know, which makes sense to me if you were going to channel, because like all I know is like with Abraham Hicks, she always says that like she steps aside and then, you know, whatever speaks through her, whatever, but she doesn't feel like she's controlled, or she doesn't feel like, you know, like if the phone rang, she felt like she could go answer it or whatever. But see, That's the thing about this. I don't remember any of it. Like, I mean, if the phone rang or something, I'd have missed that call.
The funny thing is, before that session with this girl and after was, I had a long time, and you know, of course we were doing it on the phone or whatever, so I'm like, oh my god, did she fall asleep or something, you know? And then so it took you, I don't know, a good maybe 15 or 20 seconds to even say anything, and I was like, oh my god, what do you do if the person falls asleep? You know, you weren't snoring or anything, but then you started talking.
It was longer than that, because I listened back to it and I was just like, no, I mean, it was just kind of weird, I guess. I was like, what do you do in a BQH? Someone falls asleep. Are you supposed to be like, hey, wake up?
Right. Well, one of the things she said that another point I want to bring out is, which was real interesting when I was talking about, so we're going to the 7-9 density. I'm like, so, you know, and she goes, yeah, you guys have no idea. You guys are like gods down there. And she used that terminology that we're like gods on the earth. I know, like, a lot of people might have problems with that, but we're these incredible creator beings that can do so much. And I'm like, well, when are we going to get these powers? She goes, you already have them, is the thing. Nobody knows it. Even the people that believe it don't believe it enough that, you know, or it would work well for you. So that was one of the really positive messages she had, is just realize who you are and just know that you're powerful creator beings that can do anything, and don't let anything stop you. And that's really the only thing stopping us is our limitations that we have in our own mind about who we are. We don't have to wait for some type of ascension event to happen. We can literally step into our roles as creator beings right now. There's nothing at all stopping us. Is that how you understood it too, Sherry?
Yes. Yep.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is. I remember the first time that I had an encounter with Michael Jackson, that was one of the first things that he'd said to me is, you need to focus and you need to remember who you are, which has always, like, baffled me, you know. And then I had things where I got from him, like, trying to tell me, you know, that, like, I am that I am and things like this. But I don't know, it's just really interesting stuff. She said, are you gonna tell him about how it seemed like her phone call got interrupted, or no? Okay,
yeah. So when she started talking about other people in her faction, I'm like, well, you know, how they will feed off of humans and stuff. I was like, okay, so, you know, did the superiors approve of this? And she made it sound like, no, the superiors are just as involved in feeding off of humans' energy as anyone else, and maybe even more involved in them. So it sounds like you have this problem with what we have on Earth, what we call the cabal or the elite. Or, you know, do you deal with something like that? And she said, basically, you know, that it was an issue. They don't view it as being, you know, like they're stealing energy. They look at it as it's just a means to an end to fill their high or whatever, and that if they don't do it, somebody's going to take it anyway. This type of, you know, view of it. So it was really like they disregard us rather than they're trying to, like, purposely hurt us or something. They just saw us as lesser beings that don't realize who we are, and an energy source that they could take or whatever. So I started asking her, I'm like, well, what about the elite and the cabal and down here that seem to try to rule everything? And that's when she said that she felt like someone was intercepting our communications. Did you notice that part, right, Sherry?
Yeah.
That was kind of creepy.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God.
She's like, someone's listening, and I'm like, right now? And she's like, yeah, someone's breaking in on your, what did she say, your communication device or something? And I was like,
something, and that's me.
So I'm like, what the heck? So she says, but I'll continue or whatever. And then I just reiterated what she had said, that, you know, we're powerful. We have all the control we need. And then when she mentioned about our elite here, she had went into the fact that they're not originally from here or something. And I said, so the whole thing with the reptilians is true or whatever? And she said, yes. And then, is that when she abruptly ended the call? When I got into that?
Yeah. She said, I have to go.
Yeah. She was basically like, I have to go. And I'm like, And I thanked her, and then in the silence, I was like, can you tell me what you see? And then it was like nothing, and I was like, Sherry, tell me what you see. And finally, she started talking again, and she sounded normal, back to Sherry sounding. And she was like, you know, viewing flowers, and she saw her old friend, and her friend actually high-fived her. I'm like, well, why is she high-fiving you? She said, for talking to an alien. And I'm like, what? And then Sherry's like, but I don't know what she's talking about. And that's how I knew that she wouldn't remember the whole alien part, and that was like the beginning of her session from her point of view. So, yeah, that was a real trip.
And, I mean, anybody that knows me has to know that when I listened back to this thing, it was like, I was like, I don't know, like it goes from like you're talking, I don't know how to explain it. Like I was talking as myself in the second part and talking as her in the first part, but didn't, you know, you would mess something like that up if you didn't, I don't know how to explain it. Like that would made it credible to me. Yeah. You know, I don't know how to explain it, what I'm trying to say. I know those people in that chat room know what I'm saying. I love all y'all, by the way.
And you know what? The talking style was different. There was one point when she was explaining how her parents, she got separated from her parents, and it almost sounded like she was on some kind of work program, because it's like a foster work program or something. Like she had to go on the ship and work there because her parents, or at least her dad, had gotten in trouble for, and that's when you use the word that I'm not even really, I know the word serendipity, which means, but she said her dad had done something serendipitous or something. Is that, it's like, it was like a word you would have never used.
No, I looked the word up later. The word was surreptitious.
Okay, surreptitious? Okay.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Do you remember what it said?
It means something like, oh man, I can't remember now. I looked it up and it made sense to what she was saying. Like deceptive, maybe. I can't.
Oh, let me look it up here.
I can't remember now, y'all. Look it up. Read the definition.
Why is it bringing up makeup?
Oh God, I don't know.
I think I spelled it wrong. Let's see, surreptitiously. Let's see what this is. In a way that attempts to avoid notice or attention, secretively. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, see, I would have probably just used.
Impressive.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So, you know, you would have never busted out that word, right?
No.
I mean, you had to go look it up, right? And there was other times that you said things that, I mean, not like you don't know the word, but you would have, it just didn't sound like you. Like you were saying something right. And you said, therefore, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, therefore? That's not how she talks. It was really cool, though. It was definitely the coolest thing I've ever, it was in my top list of all-time cool things, because I knew it was really happening. And that wasn't even an issue. Of course, I had to consider, like, is this disinformation or something like that? But I didn't feel like that. But I didn't feel like it was. Yeah, but I didn't feel like it was you being deceptive at all. I knew it wasn't like, you know, you were just putting me on or something and pretending, because I don't know, it was just too real. But it was a very cool experience. I tell you what, let me check the phone line to make sure. Let's see. Phone lines are open if you guys want to join in to the conversation. Please do. I'll let Sherry stick around if she wants. And you want to stick around and take some calls with me, Sherry? Or are you busy?
Sure.
Okay.
No, that's cool.
All right, awesome. So if anybody wants to call in and join in and share your thoughts about this whole thing. Yeah, surreptitious. That's a...
Wow. I'm going to start using that word. I'll be saying it all the time.
See, I think my word would be covert. I would use in that context. I would probably, in a covert or clandestine manner or something like that. I wouldn't have used I'm not going to even use that, surreptitious. I can't even say it right when I'm reading it in the chat.
Impressive, huh? I know everybody's impressed.
I know, dude. That was like, I don't know. It was cool. And then the fact that the word drug, you didn't know the word drug, and you're a nurse, so.
Oh, there, yeah.
That was
I
another
work at
thing.
an addiction center.
Yeah. So the fact that I had to explain what a drug was to this.
Well, probably because maybe that's kind of, is that a slang word? Drug, kind of?
I don't know.
You
Yeah,
know,
I think
medicine, pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
No, because our drug book is a pharmacology book, so maybe kind of.
Yeah, when you look up the root word, I think it goes back to like pharmacological and pharma, so pharmacy. And, yeah, exactly.
Which all gets really into the occult, which is interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
And who was it? The Harmonizing Tool. We were talking in the chat one night about how those drug names, like we would never take them. Like there was one called Invokia. Like who would take something called Invokia? You know, like I mean,
yeah,
that's scary. Yeah.
That sounds hilarious.
I'm gonna
put the phone numbers on the screen. That way, people all over the world that don't know how to open up the description box, so they know that's a large portion. Get your pens ready, folks. Here they are. Whoops, let me get your name off the top of it there. Okay, it was only covering up the U.S. number. The U.S. number is always on the screen. The show ID is going to be the same, but here are all the countries that there are phone numbers in. So jot it down, dial it in, and join us.
Yeah, somebody call me. The Fifth World. Oh, that number.
Yeah, is April in here?
Oh.
There's April Lunsford. Let's see.
Oh, she can call. I love talking to April. We can talk about how we think the Earth is shaped like God's eyeball. No, I don't know if she does. I just know I gave her the link. No, we don't want to get on that.
No.
I say, now that I have everyone's attention, though, I believe that the flat versus globe Earth is a divide and conquer thing, and that the Mandela effect changed the Bible scripture to say, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven, because we live on the convex lens of God's eyeball. And I say eyeball because ball. That's just my idea. I just figured I'd get out there while I had the platform.
Look at Sherry pushing her own agendas on here. What's up with that? I'm just playing. So yeah, I think
video on it.
I think, I try to stay open-minded about the whole thing. I'm like, is the horizon line, the curve going away, or is that the render distance? Is that where the simulation stops rendering, and as we move that way? I mean, as a game creator in a 3D world, I went to school to learn how to develop things within a 3D environment, and there is a render distance where things don't render beyond that point. So I can see it all sorts of ways. I'm not going to definitely jump on anything because I have no idea. So I think to become closed-minded.
Honestly, I really believe, as I've studied like lucid dreaming and out-of-body experiences and all that, I just really think that you experience what it is that you believe. I think that if you were out of body and you believe that the earth is flat, you're going to see that. If you believe it's round, you're going to see that. I just really believe that. I don't know, maybe it's a crazy way to think, but from what I've seen, I think we create our own reality in it. Okay, let me just get, since there's no callers right now.
Oh, let me double check. Yeah, we got a caller.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Let's go with that.
Had to break her from her agenda spitting. I'm just playing.
No.
I'm just
go into
teasing.
a story, but yeah.
Okay, let's go to the phone lines. 330 area code. Welcome, caller. You're live. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Shane. This is Terry. Pork Chop Gang.
Oh, how's it going, Terry?
Can you hear me okay? I'm on a speaker and
Yeah. Can you hear okay, Sherry?
Yes. Hi, how you doing?
Great. How are you doing? Hey, I missed the beginning of this show. Now, was this a cute session that you guys did, like, remotely together? Like Shane
on
did
the phone? Yeah, I did it for her over the phone.
Wow. That's
It was amazing. Yeah. It was mind-blowing. I can't stop thinking about it. It's like, oh my God, that's like, it was so real, you know, and it's incredible. Do you spell your name?
Well,
You spell your name with an I, don't you? Terri?
I spell it with a Y normally, but then everybody thinks I'm a dude, so I got to do something.
just so everybody knows, you're the one that sent me and Jose, the pyramid.
Right, yeah.
Organite pyramid.
Yes.
Very nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a jewelry dealer. So I like to make them. I like to be creative, and so I have all this extra, findings and just stuff you end up accumulating. And then, I just like, oh, man, pyramids are fun. I haven't had any time to make them lately, but I'm busy painting my house right now. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You do the faux painting and all that stuff?
Oh, no, I'm over that. I'm just painting white walls. I'm just painting everything white. Do you know how many different shades of white there are in the world?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So, I haven't been painting in 15 years, so it's about time, right?
Yeah.
I got a lot of nervous energy, and this is helping burn it off.
So how have you been feeling with the energies and all that?
Oh, I've just been crazy, just crazy. Like one day I'll just be like super tired and depressed and don't want to do a dang thing. And then the next day I'm like walking around with a smile on my face going, well, it's 0 degrees outside, but I'm going shopping and, I'm going to go out and see people and I want to be around people. And then the next day I'm like, no, I'm going to curl up in my shell and, it's been... Yeah, there's just no rhyme or reason, but your show really helps, and this family, these people have really helped me to keep some semblance of sanity going with my, spirit through all this. So I just wanted to call in, just thank y'all, and finally check in. I've been kind of a hermit here, so.
Yeah, that's the one place
right?
It's the one place you don't have to be a hermit. I mean, you can come out and talk about whatever you want, and everything's all good.
Yeah, and there's just where else can you do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen to this, Carrie. You know what happened to me? I had showed my husband opening to the show that we're doing on Mondays, the paranormal show, and he just looks at me and says, "You're effing doors."
Yeah. Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I know. I really feel for you people that have relationships and you're learning and growing and going through all this and stuff and they're just sitting there not. And it's like, what? Hello? Have you sat down and listened to this stuff? Have you, thought about this? Have you, I really, I feel for you. Yeah.
Well, the reason I said
my husband died in 2012, and that's when I frickin' woke up. Yeah, it was just he got sick one night in November 2011. November 6th, he sat down. I made him a pork chop, which is really weird because I haven't even eaten a pork chop. And I named my thing a pork chop gang, really. But that's a private joke because we were him and then his friend Marcus was, we were the three, we were the pork chop gang. We just kind of partied and hung out together and played music and had fun. But, and then, 6 months later, or 3 months later, he was gone. And that's what, I realized, oh my God, this whole medical society is frickin' bullshit. These people in hospitals don't know anything. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, I mean, I'm trying to find a lawyer and sue the hospital for what they did to him before he was even gone. You know, and it was like, months later, and that, you know, it was just one thing after another after that. It was like, and then I got thrown in jail on mushrooms one night, and I finally decided to go out and have some fun, went to a music fest, and seriously, and like nobody thought that was weird, but I was like, oh my gosh, and then I'm like asking these guys, interrogating me as they're driving me around, showing me up, oh, it was just ridiculous, and it was so costly, and it was like, what planet am I on? But now I realize everything I've gone through is for a reason, and, you know, you just keep carrying on, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I think we're there, though. We're at the big shift. It's going to happen here soon. I'm excited.
Yeah. I think we have enough things that point towards something happening, and, gosh, I hope it's not 20 years, but, you know, I hope it's quicker.
No, well, when I was really young, I always kind of fall back on this. When I was young, in my like 20s, I lived in the LA area, and I had a friend who was my business partner was a guy that I was dating him too, and his ex-wife was a casting director in Hollywood, and she got me like I got a reading with Annie, the psychic, and I like didn't even really, you know, I was always curious about like things like paranormal, you know, I was always into, you know, anything non-mainstream, you know, but this reading, it was like, she was like sort of the psychic to the stars, but I remember that, you know, you're in your 20s and you're asking, you know, how many kids am I going to have and whatever, but she's like, all of a sudden she got to like something. So she goes, you're going to be older, and you're going to have gone through this really rough time. And I figured at that time I was thinking, oh, well, I'd probably be ill or something. But no, it was. But he goes, then something so fantastic, you're not even going to believe it. And so I've always kind of like, I just kind of held on to that, you know, that little, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a question for you, Terry. Terry, have you had any after-death communication from your husband?
No, I haven't. Although I mean, I'm still in the house that we bought together when we moved to Ohio together, and, you know, I feel like he's kind of around me all the time, you know.
Yeah, I feel like he is.
I feel like he's like, yeah, you go, you know, yeah. I mean, when we met, I was, yeah. What?
Are you still very, really, like, grieving him a lot, or? Okay, what I'm trying to say is a lot of times they say that if you're sad and stuff, that they can't like meet your frequency to communicate, and so they have to like go down, and you have to go up some, and then that's where you meet in the middle, and that's where the communication can happen. I was just saying, I didn't know, and you know, have you had any dreams about him?
Nope, never have. No.
But you like feel his presence at times and stuff.
I just kind of feel his presence. Yeah. I just kind of feel his presence. I feel like, you know, when we got together, I mean, like, we were both, like, antique dealers, and he was, like, into, like, he taught me about silver and gold, and he taught me about fine art and Navajo blankets and glassware and, our art glass and art pottery. And I was into, like, furniture and antique hardware and costume jewelry. And we were both, and then when we got together, it was, like, just at the start of eBay, right? And we were both, like, you know, pickers, just on the road, shows every weekend, gypsies. And then when we got together, it was all of a sudden, it was like, oh, my God, this is so great, you know? And we taught each other everything, and we were together. We were just this, like, powerhouse of pickers, you know. We were, like, Terry and Chris, American Pickers, you know. And we would just, anything we'd put online, and we'd got on eBay, and it was like, all of a sudden we were just kicked back, and we could just we'd go shopping and put, you know, a bunch of junk online one night, and, you know, $1,000 a week, no problem, you know. And it was just, you know,
that's really cool.
It was just so fun. And then, so
Did y'all ever find any, you ever found any haunted antiques?
I tell you, I wonder about that energetically wise. I mean, I bought so much stuff and brought so much stuff. If I brought haunted stuff in here, it's like, maybe I should just, you know, I should sage like regular. I don't know, but no, I haven't found anything to absolutely haunt me.
I like that show
like,
with John Zappa about like the people where the house is haunted and they go in there and then it's like, it's always some item, you know, some, you know, samurai sword or something.
Yeah, although he used to tell me stories about, like, he had this friend who lived, he was an old-time antique dealer that he knew, and he was, like, in Philadelphia, and he lived in this house that was, like, super antique, like, as old as you can get in this country, practically, right? And he stayed in his house, and he had a bog baby in the room, and he warned him not to touch it. And it was like, oh, that was so creepy, you know? Yeah. I don't know what a bog baby is really, but it was like he had some really creepy stuff. I always wanted to see that house, but we never did make it over there.
That's wild.
No.
So now you just chill and do your jewelry and...
I do bonsai, and I do plants, and I like to redecorate. So I'm glad I just got my house paid off, but I just got to the end of the mortgage, and I got behind, and then they started in the foreclosure proceedings, and I had to beg a loan, and then I found out my lawyer was screwing me, and I had to get a lawyer that won't screw me, and it's just been a frickin' nightmare this last year. It's just been, oh my God. But all the time I know this is just bullshit, right? And you know, it's so hard to get upset about, but when this is what you do, and this is the investment I made to get this house and pay it off quick, you know, it was it. And, but it's just also 3D and so crap that you don't want to deal with, but when, I don't know, it just feels like life has thrown all the shit in my face. Here, learn about this, and all of this. I'm the most well-rounded person in the world for some reason.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting to, like, use it, right?
Yeah.
And I think my time's coming soon. That's what I know.
Yeah. Just hang in there, keep your vibes high. I think that's really like our main job at this point. And then to spread to other people, you know, spread the love around.
Just keep doing what you love to do, right? I mean, I learned years ago, I was like, I had a real job, you know, but it's been 25 years or something since I've had a real quote-unquote job, and I was like, I was like making $50,000 a year or whatever, selling windows, and I was doing fine, and it was like, but I was like, I hate this so bad. Why do I want to make them money when they're jerks, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just begged God to give me a way to make a living doing what I love doing, being creative. That's all I said. I said that. I was like, give me a plan. And then, boom, everything just started happening, and I realized about flea markets, and I just started, like, I know I got that in common with you, Shane. It's like, you did flea markets, right?
Yeah.
And but I was doing like this antiques and stuff in LA area for but then my daughter got to be 9, and I was like, I couldn't imagine like staying there any longer. I was like, I love the weather and I love the picking and the markets, but I was like, I gotta get the heck out of here. This place is insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's creepy, it's bad, it's icky.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what, Terry? I'm from that area, and they call that. Don't they call flea markets there swap meets?
Well, I think there's swap meets and then there's flea markets, but like more of the antique side or like tend to be called flea markets, like Rose Bowl and Ventura and Pasadena. And then there's like the other swap meets, which kind of like both, they're fun to shop at, but they'll have like new and used and stuff. My parents were in Arizona for a long time, and there's like swap meets. And, you know, I'd like to go shop the people that just, I still love to shop flea markets. Yeah. I think we're going to be going back to that here pretty soon, too. I have a feeling. I think they're going to be strong in the next couple of years through this transition, you know?
Yeah.
We're just going to be really Braden again, like Braden, you know, like we used to.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, see, here, I got this. What do you need? You know, people walk around. I mean, usually you go to flea markets and people would sometimes bring stuff for you to sell to you or trade to you. And I think that's going to be more like what we need to do. Because, you know, they're going to drop, the dollar is going to take a drop, and, you know, we're going gold back currencies. We're, you know, I don't know. I hope Trump makes this big enough. I have a feeling on the 5th we're going to be all, like, really blown away. Because, I don't know. I think Nasara is real. I think it's going to happen. And if they eliminate all debt in this, you know, all loans from banks, student loans, mortgages, credit cards, that is going to free people up to do what they came here to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's going to strengthen our economy so much, so fast. And then with the influx of this, I think, you know, there's a lot of funds available for people through this currency exchange, which I think I'm going to be part of. And I think, you know, we're going to be changing the world. We're going to be, you know, making it happen finally the way it should be. You know, creators really being creative. You know, stop being debt slaves. This has got to happen. It's clear to me anyway.
Oh, yeah, well overdue.
Yeah, I think I'm excited.
So which part of the country are you called in? I thought you were in California. Are you somewhere else?
I'm in Ohio.
Oh, Ohio, okay.
Yeah.
When you said it was cold, I'm like, well, maybe it's Northern California, but Ohio, okay.
No, it's freaking cold. But I'm from northern Minnesota originally, and that's, the family farm is up there. And we still have the family farm. My dad was they homesteaded it and everything, and it's still there. And my brother, he grows like genetically modified sugar beets and wheat and stuff. It's just depressing. They're so sleepy, you know. Oh God. So I don't know. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know I'm gonna go to East City Ranch this summer. That's all I frickin' know, you guys. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know you want to go too, and you're talking about like August and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they.
I think Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say they finally emailed me back with a phone number to figure that out. So I'm going to call them and try to line that up and see. I'll know something next week for sure. This coming week.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'm really excited. I'm going to finally, even if nothing happens, great. I'm going to be. I think I've got my house. I've got a renter now in my house with no mortgage, which means I have I'm freed up, and I'm going to go get a vintage camper trailer and fix it up to my heart's desire and hit the road, and I'm going to go just travel. So I am so excited. I'm
what part
free.
of April's wanting to know what part of where in Ohio you are?
Northeast Ohio. I'm like an hour south of Cleveland, an hour from Pittsburgh, near Canton.
Okay.
Yeah, that area.
Okay.
Right now, yeah.
That's cool.
where-
Maybe we need a get together there. Are you in?
Hey, I got 2 acres. Everybody could camp out. I got 2.25 acres. It's a big property.
Be careful.
Yeah.
You might end up there.
No, serious. I would definitely yeah, that would be my dream if people
That's
would
cool.
actually come. Yeah.
Oh, you'd be surprised. You'd be
This used to
surprised.
be the big party hangout.
Yeah, I think that would be a great place to have one. I'm trying to think of what's right around.
Oh, yeah, like I know you've got such a great audience that's scattered everywhere, but to gather groups, you know, whatever, and have a meeting, whatever, like if it was summertime and people could just, you know, tent camp or bring RVs or whatever, yeah, I got a giant yard, and that's definitely doable.
Yeah, it looks like I can.
Yes.
What is it? Highway 44 to Highway 70 out of St. Louis. Yeah, that's a long drive for me. But that sounds cool, though. That sounds like, you know, that's right up in that area where a lot of people, what's that, Indiana, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Kentucky. And I was thinking one in St. Louis. I know we got a few people in St. Louis. That wouldn't be too far for Ohio people anyway.
Yeah, I'm open to, I've got my heart set on buying a little trailer, little vintage camper, and fixing it up, and it's going to pull nothing. I got a Jeep Grand Cherokee now, baby. It's old, but it's nice. And they have the best towing capacity.
Yeah, April says she's close to Cincinnati, so.
Yeah?
Maybe we need to set a date when it warms up, you know? I know you're like right in that vortex right now, aren't you?
Oh, man, it is cold. It was like 3 degrees or something. They canceled school the last couple of days here because people are not used to this. I'm like, I'm from northern Minnesota. This is nothing for me. I'm going to go out and shop. So I hit the thrift stores.
That's awesome.
No.
Let me see here. Yeah, let's start. We can start planning something, I would say, if you're down for it, because I know people will come. At least get a dozen or two people there to hang out. And
oh, that would be so fun.
Yeah.
So fun. Awesome. I've got a real nice like bonfire pit out in the backyard, and got surrounded by pine trees. Then I set another bonfire pit out there just for burning like really big stuff like pallets, and you know when you want to have a big fire. And yeah, my neighbors are really cool, and yeah, that would be so awesome. I'm open. Get a hold of me. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as I don't have to do, I mean, I'll promote it, but as long as I don't have to do the main bulk of the planning. I know I was so thankful that that both Angie and Diane like really took the reins for the Austin thing, because I was like, I'm just not a planner. I don't know how to do any of this, but you're like, we got this, you know. So.
Oh my God, it was amazing. Angie did. Oh, geez, and Diane. It was just beautiful. I mean, it couldn't have been more perfect. It was just so awesome. You know, it was like better than I ever expected. It was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I see. This is a good thing. Atsuko, you will probably fly out there, won't you? She'll be there. Bring her Reiki.
I'm really close to the 25 minutes from the little Akron Canton airport. It's just a nice, just a little airport, but it's like really nice. Cleveland is like, the Cleveland airport is way cheaper to fly into, but it's like an hour and a quarter away or something like that. So, yeah. But I have, but.
And we've got the East Coast lined up with Ronnie and VA now. She's got some property, I think. I don't know. I think like 2019 to me was like the year for us to start meeting and getting together and, you know, meeting each other in real life instead of just on the computer. And it's a really cool thing when we all come together.
I think that's a great idea. Absolutely. I really need it too. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And what's cool is you get to know people in your area that, you know, maybe you'll go hang out with. I was so happy when I left Austin to hear that they got together like a few days later and were like still hanging out and stuff, the people that lived right in that area, you know. I was like, that's so cool that we started something that can continue on and people of like mind can get together and hang out. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, you are our catalyst.
I'm happy to play my role in it.
Yes, that's your role.
Oh, Atsuko said she bought a folding massage table so she can do Reiki anywhere. She can take her Reiki abilities mobile on the road.
Okay, I'm going to pick her up at Cleveland Airport. Okay?
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
Atsuko, she is so powerful too. Actually, you had one in person, Sherry, and then you said you've had one, 2 since then, and it was the same experience remotely as it was in person, right? You felt the same powerful energies?
Atsuko is amazing. In fact, I wanted to ask her really quick if she remembered saying something a long time ago that she was supposed to help me with that, and then it seems like I don't think I dreamed it that she had said that, and then all of a sudden she's been happen to, and she's been amazing, and she's helping me so much, and I'm forever indebted to her. I love you, Atsuko.
Beautiful.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Hey, if you guys are in the call queue and you want to join in on the conversation, just raise your hand by pressing *2, I believe it is.
So what she's saying, Terry, is she could bring her table, like, there and hook everybody up. Let me tell you something. It's like nothing I ever experienced.
Oh, absolutely. I just got done selling pretty much all of my furniture. And I was like, it all went to auction. All this stuff I've been sitting here for, I feel so purged. But now I'm like redoing the house, like, and, I'll just set it up with my trees and my crystals and my pyramids. And it'll be a nice Zen location to, have a lot of healing. Although I live next to a cell phone tower, but we can overcome that, right?
Oh, yeah. We're way more powerful than the 5G, that's for sure.
Well, that's 4G. Now, I've been living next to this cell phone tower. That's kind of why I sort of making Organite. But I understand that the 5G is totally different in that they put it up in separate things. And I still don't understand or know if they, plan on changing out the regular cell phone towers to become 5G. Does anybody know that? I would love to know more or where to look, because I've been curious about that.
Yeah. Let's see. We have another caller from Ohio. Let me bring them into the conversation. 614, you're joining the big group of us here talking. Who am I talking to?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Oh, this is Nicola from Australia.
Oh, really?
I got through. Oh, my God. Hi.
That's weird.
To get through on the American phone number.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So, I looked and it was a 614 area code, and I looked and it was Ohio. I'm like, oh, someone else wanting to do a get-together there. That's interesting.
Yeah, so somehow I got through a back road. So I'm sorry. Who else is on the line? I couldn't hear anything before while I was waiting. So.
Oh, no problem. Just 1 second here. Terry, you were saying something?
Terry, yeah.
Hey, where are you from in Australia?
I'm from Brisbane. It's Kerry, isn't it? Is that right?
Terry with the T.
Terry.
Oh, Kerry, yes. I'm from Brisbane, southeast of Queensland.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so sort of halfway down the middle, really warm. Well, where are you from in USA?
I'm from Minnesota originally, and I live in Ohio now, which is also upper Midwest. Yeah. Do you know
Yeah.
like states like where they are when people say that? Like if people from Australia?
Not really. I mean, geography wasn't my strongest part of history, but I do know where Texas is.
I was just curious. I mean,
nothing.
you probably know where Ohio. You probably know where like New York and California are. They're like on the coasts, right? In Florida.
Yes.
But beyond that, you're like kind of wait. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do remember though when we learned at school there was 52 states in America at that point in time when I was 14. So there's only 50 states now, isn't there?
Yeah, I guess.
Interesting. I wonder how many people we can fit into the phone conversation here. It's like a party line. This is awesome.
It is. And Shane, I might have to call back. I'll tell you why. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Because I'm hearing you from your previous conversation with somebody else as well.
Oh, really?
So, yes, I'm hearing the previous conversation with this conversation. So, I'll hang up and call back in.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
Well,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Okay. Sherry and Terry.
Hey.
So yeah.
Okay, where's Mary?
That's funny. Mary and Winnie Carey on here. Awakened.
Well, I had a boyfriend once when I was young, and I just loved him so much, and he was way too old for me. And one night he was like, somebody came and said, "Well, is it Sherry, Mary, or Terry?" And I just remembered that. It was funny.
That's hilarious. So do I have your email address by any chance, Terry? I do. We need to start emailing and figure out maybe a date or something, and we can rally some troops in your area to help with organizing something. Because I think.
Well, yeah. Well, I can find your email. I'm sure. I will send you a note, and I'll send you a note and my phone number and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's listed here, right? And then I can, I'll connect with you, and you can put it together, and I'm really open to that.
That'd be awesome.
Especially this early spring kind of thing.
Yeah, because we need something between now and ECETI, I think. You know?
Right.
That's a long wait.
Absolutely.
It's like 7 months away,
right.
so we can do something in May or something.
Yeah.
April or May.
Yeah, I think so.
That'd be
That would
awesome.
be good.
Yeah.
That would be good. And it's so beautiful around here, especially that time of year. This is, my property kind of comes alive. There's a lot of, the rhododendrons. I've got these 100-year-old rhododendron bushes that are just enormous. And, yeah, I always thought, if I'm going to sell this place, I'm going to do it in the spring, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, that would be really cool. But I'll let you go for now, and I will follow up with that. And, maybe somebody else calling in. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Terry. And thanks for the pyramid again. It's awesome.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah, I have it right here by me, so all the time. All these electronics.
I can tell it's bringing you good energy. Because
oh, yeah. I feel great.
That's beautiful. Okay.
Lots of love to you. We'll talk to you again.
Okay. Okie doke. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let's go.
You're listening to The Love Street.
Unbiased and on the fence.
And we are back. Let me see if the phone lines phone lines are open if you'd like to join us. Oh, wait.
Hi, Shane.
Hey, there you are. How are you? You're back.
Hello. I came through the back road again. Hi. I found out how to get in.
So you're using you're using the American number?
Yes, I'm using the American number, just followed by my area code to get out, and and it managed to go through. So I just tried it that way. So yeah,
you
it's
sure
pretty
it's
cool.
not? There's no international charges.
It could be, but it doesn't matter. If my phone runs out, that means it's just run out of credit. But I have $500 worth of calls, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, for $40, it's really good actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you didn't have a surprise waiting on your bill or something. That's all.
No, I won't. I have prepaid, so there's not a problem there. So I've got a really good deal. Yes. Yeah, I'm sticking with it too because they're better deals than the some of the other ones. So yeah. Yeah.
So Saturday afternoon, what's the weather like there in Australia?
Sunny. I haven't been much outside yet because I'm on night shift. So this is the middle of the night. I sleep through the day and I'm up at night because I've injured my knee badly. Yeah. Oh, it's really sunny outside. So yes. And I haven't still been outside because I'm still in bed. But I had to get up for the show. So yeah, I haven't broken it. I got the results yesterday. So it's just I may have to have some fluid drained if it doesn't heal in 6 weeks. So that's why I haven't been in touch. I've been sort of really, really laid out with my knees straight. So it's been a bit really big and swollen and nasty. So it's okay. I'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're getting better. You said your husband was on a trip too, right?
He was, and now he's back. So because he's doing night shift. That's why I have to sleep the night shift hours because I need to sort of walk a bit, then lay down. So I don't want to wake him up during the day. So I sleep through the day, then I get up and lay down through the night. So I'm kind of on your hours, sort of. Now, do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I can talk through the night. Yeah. So, yeah. So,
yeah, I actually I did illustrating for an author in Australia, and it was perfect because like my hours matched to theirs because at the time I was like up all night too. So.
Oh, brilliant! And what was her name or his name? Is anybody I might know?
No, I don't. It was a children's book. Gosh, I can't even tell you the name of the book. It's like you think I would know, but
that's okay. No, that's fine. My mum painted and illustrated children's books, adults books. She's got about 6 or 7 out just here in Australia, self-published. That's really good. So, yeah, she does that. So she's she's got a couple of 1,000 paintings by now or more. She's got a gallery. So, yeah.
Yeah.
We're all artistic in our family. Yes, very much so. Yes. So today, what's the topic of conversation, or can we talk about Mandela effect and cause and effect?
We're all about the Mandela effect here.
Okay. All right. I don't want to take up your time too much, but I had a feeling, like a sense within myself, that maybe it is a naturally occurring event that has occurred forever, like since the beginning of time. We've only noticed it now due to the internet, us getting together. And retrocausality, so the concept of cause and effect, like what we do now, can actually affect the past, and the future can actually affect the past. And we're all living in a malleable time stream, or maybe we've just moved up into that, like we're moving into the 5D. Do you know that's what I mean? So, because I've been noticing like through a couple of channels, that history is actually changing to what I learned at school. So.
Oh wow! Like what?
A lot of things. Well, did you like the United States? This is what they were saying, guys. It didn't get. You only had like Pearl Harbor and then the Statue of Liberty torch. You didn't know about that, did you? Before, do you remember that? You can't go up into that anymore, can you?
No.
That's a new one. And then apparently it's been bombed a lot of times back in history. And there was at one point there was 4,000 people died at one stage. I don't know where, because this was on. I looked back at SMQ AI's old shows about We Died in 2012 series, but he's changed the name of it now or something. So, yeah. So it was changing as we speak, and him and Chick is very, very knowledgeable, and she remembers the day that she changed, the day that she first shifted. Now, what Chick said, now don't take my word verbatim, but I remember too that we were having, Russia and America were having aggressions back a few years back. Mm-hmm. And then there were missiles being sent over, and they didn't quite get there. They just fell out into the sea instead of hitting an island. And I remember all that, and there's all the U-boats. America was, had all the U-boats ready to protect, and it was about to happen. And then nothing. And then North Korea, the next thing, there's North Korea. So nothing. So Russia and America all settled, and then North Korea showing off all their military arms. So I thought, oh my God, now we've got Korea and Russia and America and Russia, because I didn't know that bit had settled down. So that sort of, do you follow that? Or I don't normally watch the news, but I kind of caught that little bit. That was sort of big.
Well, you know, I wish I had paid more attention to history. It's like, but you know, I can't be sure of anything really in history, like dates and things like that. I do know that, like, you know, they were saying that the 9/11 attacks, I remember in the news them saying that it was the second attack on American soil at the time, which wouldn't fit with all this other stuff that's going on. I'm like, well, why would they say that at the time unless, you know, but it could have been the reporter. So in my mind, I don't know, you know, what that stuff, it's not 100% things for me. I never went up in the torch. I've heard of people that were like, you know, I've went up in the torch. So, you know, the fact that you haven't been able to go up into the torch since like 1900 or whatever it was, lets them know.
Yeah, 1916. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, and I just love for somebody to have some pictures or something. That would be awesome if they had. Like, no, here's proof that I went up in the torch, you know?
Yes, absolutely. That would be
and the location of the Statue of Liberty, that for me, that's a 100% one for me. I know it wasn't on Liberty Island for me in my timeline. That's a new one. You know?
It was on Ellison Island in my timeline.
Yeah.
Is that right with you? It was on Ellison timeline? Yeah. We're both from the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought it was on Ellison Island because you went to Liberty Island. You had to go from Liberty Island to Ellison Island to get there. That's right, isn't it?
Oh, well, for me, it was Staten Island, I believe. To me, there was never... Yeah, to me, it was never a Liberty Island because I would have remembered Liberty Island being that it's the same as the statue name, but... And I remember it was like the Staten Island Ferry. I believe I even remember the writing on the ferry at the time. But.
Okay, yeah, you are correcting my memory because I'm sorry. Yeah, I do remember thinking, why is it called Liberty Island when the Statue of Liberty isn't on there? I thought that was really weird, really strange. You know, why wouldn't Statue of Liberty be on Liberty Island?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, okay, well, I didn't know why they did that.
Yeah.
And now it is on there, isn't it? So, yeah. Okay. I don't know whether you do know a little bit, I know, about quantum physics. and how everything, like you've got a particle, it can either go left or right or stay where it is. It can be any state, any position. So I think consciously, if we're all together on it, it can just, or there are shifts, and then we all get updates. Like we're like living a quantum type of malleable world, and it is becoming so much beautiful. There's all these different coloured birds and rainbow birds. There's rainbow pigeons now, and all these different rainbow animals. I had a little look last night, and they're beautiful. So I believe we're not actually going to wake up and go, oh, it's 5D. It's growing around us. So we're here, but everything's emerging around us. So we're awake and aware about it. Like the rainbow in China, the rainbow mountains, and like all the things I hadn't heard of before. Yes. I mean, it is. It's like, I've heard some testimonies of some people that you believe them, because they say they went up one street that they've always been up to go to this building, and they went back and the building wasn't there. And then he said to his brother, he said, see, the building's not there. The brother was really like, oh my, weirded out. And then they went round again and it came back again or something. I don't know with his story. I don't know what station it was on. I was just listening, just listening through like I do. But there's so many things. Nothing like that's happened to me. Oh, except for the McDonald's at the end of the road. It was McDonald's for me, and I swore to my husband it's McDonald's. He says no, it's MC Donald's. And I drove up there. This is about a year ago, and yes, it had changed within that 3-week period. So it was definitely McDonald's to me. Do you remember McDonald's?
That's funny that at first, when I first heard people talking about it, I'm like, that's ridiculous. And then somebody did a recreation of the logo, and it gave me childhood nostalgia of leaving church at like 5 years old. And I'm like, oh my God, it just gave me nostalgia of remembering it. But for me, it changed when I was really young. And I'm like, that's so weird, because I've heard that happening to people where they're like, that changed for me like decades ago. And so it's really weird the way this whole thing works, because for some people, I don't know if it's just they just notice it or it just changed for them. But when I saw that recreation, and I don't know, I was just taken back at like riding and like with my dad at like 5 years old, leaving church. And, do you want some McDonald's, son? And you know what I mean? It was like, of course, it makes sense, but I had forgotten all about it. So for me, it changed a long time ago. But I remember it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's strange.
It really is, isn't it? And, I mean, that would kind of make sense if it happened to you at 5 and to me later on, because... America is ahead of Australia in a lot of ways. Like we've got the fast food stores a bit later on. Like America was known as the most obese place in the world, but I believe Australia now is.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
You need to come visit the States, I think. We still like our burgers quite a bit over here, I think.
Everything in America is real. It's like you get a slice of your New Yorker piece. So, I'd like to try that. Yeah.
Do you remember the McDonald's thing, Sherry?
No, but I did like you when I saw it, like redone. I was like, there was a familiarity to it. But
oh, okay. Yeah, it was like that for me for sure. It was trippy because,
It's Nicola.
Oh, hello, Sherry.
Hey, I love listening to you talk. Your voice is just, I love it. I love your accent.
Oh, I love yours too.
No, I love you so much. I do.
Oh.
Look, I wanted to ask you, have you ever seen the movie The Little Rascals?
No. I'm sorry. Has it just come out?
Oh, well, because I noticed the Mandela effect on it, but I just don't know if that many people know of it. So I know every word of it. I love that movie, but
The Little Rascals.
Yeah, I'll just keep it to myself and tell it later. I mean, like, you know.
Well, I don't know. We got a lot of people that are looking into the Mandela effect. You should probably mention it, and we'll see people chiming in with the... Okay, so from my memory, there was the Little Rascals, which was a show that used to come on with, like, that's with buckwheat and alfalfa, right?
Yeah, this one is the remake one that they did, and it was really popular with my kids when they were little. And
yeah, my kids too.
And there's a part on it. Okay, well, you'll have to ask your kids, because there's a part where they have buckwheat and his little friend. They're sitting in this little, like, car, and they both have a pickle. And one of them says, "I'll sell you my pickle for a nickel." Another one says, "How about 2 cents?" And then he sings, and he used to say, "I got 2 pickles, I got 2 pickles, I got 2 pickles." Hey, now he says, "I have 2 pickles." And it's so weird, because every kid that I know knows that song, and they all say, "I got 2 pickles."
Oh,
so anyway,
okay, so I got 2 pickles changed to I have 2 pickles.
Room,
okay.
it changed from I got to I have. See if anyone in the chat room remembers I got 2 pickles. All right, I'm going to be quiet now.
No, that's perfect.
I'll be quiet now.
So, yeah, you guys chime in on that one, because I need to ask my kids about that. That sounds more familiar as I got, but it wouldn't be a 100% one for me, but I'm sure it was popular, and, I can't wait to ask my kids. I'll just have them sing it. I won't even tell them what it is, because I'll just say, "Hey, what's the song he sings about the little pickles?"
They'll probably know.
Yeah. That's such a small one for someone who hasn't really watched it and they don't know. They're like, what's the difference? I mean, the difference is it's changed in a supernatural way. You know what I mean? It's like so many of them are like that. It's really not that big of a deal, the change itself. It's just the fact that it appears to have always been the new way, and people remember it being a different way. And that's a trip.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how small it is. Just the change is huge.
Yeah.
It's just massive. How's everybody in our little chat room going with the pickles? Is anybody responding?
April's saying "I got" sounds right to her too. "I got" sounds right. That's the original one.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. But there you go. You've got some confirmation there.
Yeah, Travis is confirming he remembers "I got 2 pickles." Thank you, Travis.
Got 2 pickles?
That's because there's some little rascals out there.
And here's another one. This might be fresh off the press, you guys, but my wife had got this book that's got all these little activities that she used to get this book when she was a kid or whatever. And she was like, "Do you remember Highlight?" And I'm like, "Highlight? No." I'm like, "High Life? High Times?" I'm like thinking she's talking about it. She goes, "No, it's called Highlight." And then she hands me the book, and it says Highlights with an S on the end.
No,
I'm like, "Why are you..."
I remember Highlights with the S.
Oh, you remember with the S on the end? Okay.
I do, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I was asking. I'm like, "Why are you saying Highlight when it says Highlights? Is that a change?" I didn't know. It's just the fact that she called it that, so I didn't know if it was a change. I mean, now I notice stuff like right away. I'm like, because people typically will say it how they remember it, and then, they won't even notice it's changed or whatever. So.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it could be, maybe something that I just didn't notice, but.
April found residue already. Look, we got our little think tank here, researchers and stuff.
On pickles? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I knew.
Okay, people remember Highlights. Okay. She didn't say it was a Mandela effect. She just called it Highlight, and I thought, there's a lot of S ones like.
But did it change to Highlight or to Highlights?
It has an S on the end now. Yeah, so.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember the S on the end, but.
No, Michelle's Opinions is saying Highlight magazine. Morgan remembers Highlights.
Maybe it's just one of those things where it's different,
Yeah, totally.
Everybody's right.
Yeah, that's the thing with this. It's not like who's right. It's It's like whatever your reality is. April's saying that if you Google Little Rascals, I Got Two Pickles song, it shows up both ways. And that's typically what you find. Because people create memes and stuff. And, you know what I mean? So you'll see where people play off of it. That's a really good place to find residue. Of course, people that don't see it say, well, people are just confused and they were, you know, it's that double-edged sword.
I found one more, but people probably won't know this one, but Michael Jackson has a song called History. It's a really beautiful song. Y'all should all listen to it because at the beginning they start, and it's like merging different voices saying dates, like, you know, when Rosa Parks stayed on the bus and didn't let someone take her seat and like all that stuff, all these dates of these like extraordinary, important dates. And so anyway, then at the end, all of a sudden, I'm telling y'all, the other day, it was like, last night? I don't know. I'm driving down the road, the song is playing, and all of a sudden it starts saying in the middle of it, Mary Had a Little Lamb. It does the whole rhyme. It's not relevant to the song. It's just stuck in there randomly, and I know it was not there before because I know this song. I've listened to this song because it, like, pumps me up, and I listen to it really often, like probably 3 or 4 times a week. But I know.
And what's the name of that song?
History by Michael Jackson. If you go to it's a pretty long song. If you go to like the, 5-minute mark and listen to it out, all of a sudden you'll hear it start saying that. And then again, it's on top of something else, but you can hear it really clear. And it was not there before.
That's interesting. So that's the one where they say the dates of big events that happen at the end of it in history.
When Martin Luther was born and, all those important dates.
Yeah, and then they stuck Mary Had a Little Lamb in the middle of all of it?
Yeah, the whole enchilada, the whole thing.
Oh, my God. That's a weird one. So anybody that knows that song, History by Michael Jackson, check into that and see if you listen to the very end of it and see if you remember Mary Had a Little Lamb in there, or if it's something new.
Yeah, I posted some stuff in some, because, I try to say, I stay with the Michael Jackson fans, and I also follow the believers, the ones that believe that he's still alive, because I like to look at the evidence, and it's pretty freaky if y'all ever get bored and want to spend a few years. There's so much proof that he's still alive, and so I put some posts in their stuff to see if someone gets me back on that, and I'll let y'all know.
That would be a trip.
Nicole, she's a lot more intellectual.
No, well, I often think that about Michael Jackson, because you have all these celebrities that, were dead and come back to life and stuff. I'm like, now, if he came back to life, how many people would that wake up,
Well, let me tell y'all something. If anyone gets bored, just type in Michael Jackson, the Chris Angel connection, and you will trip out. Just saying. I'm just throwing that in there. Sorry, Nicola.
Oh, no, I'm very, very interested because I had a Mandela effect with Michael Jackson with the song too. The Earth song. It's actually the footage of it, the actual, the one that goes, what about sunrise? What about rain? Okay, so I love that one. It just, my heart solidly comes out. But at the beginning, there was a, or at the end, there was a little child planting a sapling of a tree to like rebuild the world again.
Yes, a beautiful little girl. Yes.
Yes, she's not there now. Right. She's not there now.
And there's a butterfly flying by her. Wow.
Yes,
I'm
there was, wasn't there? Yes, there was.
No way.
And I remember that. Yeah, what? Sorry?
Little girl
no,
is so
I was saying no way. That's trippy.
Out.
Yeah,
that's
the
song.
Yeah, April just sent this over, residue. Residue of the I Got Two Pickles.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
look, I don't know the words to that song, and I swear I hear the weirdest thing in it, and I'm like singing, what about almond joy? Like, I'm telling you, it like doesn't sound like what you think is what it says. I need to look at the lyrics.
That's okay. I do that.
And I'll be all serious.
Look, Sherry, yeah, we're the same, because that Midler song, my husband always laughs, because I always used to say, I can fly higher than my hero. And I used to sing that instead of I can fly higher than an eagle. I used to say I could fly higher than my hero. I used to sing that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I couldn't hear it. This is like back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'll keep you entertained for a whole day, Nicole? Type in misheard lyrics, and they people address stuff like this all the time. It's funny. Just check it out. Okay? Just for fun.
Okay.
When you're trying, you don't have nothing else to watch, and you just want to laugh.
Misheard lyrics.
Yeah,
misheard lyrics. Yeah, I would do that. I've got plenty of time with my knee up at the moment, so I can't get on the computer, but I've got my mobile phone. It's brilliant here. So now I've got one more change as well, which absolutely blew me away the other day, because my name's Nicola, and actually I'm not going to spell it for you, because I'm going to just ask you and everybody in the think tank and Shane, Nicholas Cage. How do you spell Nicholas?
The regular way on Nicholas Cage. I spell it the regular way on Nicholas Cage, Nicholas.
That's my way. That has always been my way. I've always seen it that way, because my name is N-I. Actually, I'm not going to spell my name. No, not yet, unless it's already up. But
yeah, it's already
people
up there.
in the chat, yeah. What did you think, Shane? It was Nicholas. Well,
No, the H is strange to me. I saw this one before. Yeah, it's definitely strange with the H in there.
I didn't see it. I've seen his name before because he's one of my favorite actors. I love my favorite movie of his is Raising Arizona.
Oh, haven't seen that, but I must have to get. But that's the only one I haven't seen, Raising Arizona. I mean, maybe
I've
seen
see
it,
that.
Forgotten it. Okay,
he robs the store with some pantyhose on his head. You gotta see it.
Oh, right, yeah, because I've always loved him. Like since the 90s, he was one of my hunks, especially in Con Air, with the long hair.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hello, my little hummingbird."
Yeah.
So, I was freaked out. I went and got my Nicolas Cage original DVD, and I saw Nicola, Nicola, exactly how my name spelled. And I know it changed, because no way was he spelled the same as me. That it just didn't happen. It didn't have an H. Because I would have gone, it's the same as me, but with an S. Because I noticed Nikola Tesla's got N-I-K, so if anyone was Nikola, I'm going to pay attention to.
You are so lucky to have this name, Tesla. I knew your name sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Yes. I've got like a boy's
name.
Then
you're like a scientist and everything. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, I know. I love science. Yes, I mean, I'm not qualified in any science, but. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at them together, and it definitely looks better with the H.
Oh, good. You recognize that then?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It looks empty without the H. Yeah. I can't be sure, it's not 100% one, but it looks funny to me without the H.
And I found residue with the H. Mm-hmm.
You know which one really gets me, Nicole? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just get excited talking about the Mandela effect. I'm all into it. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen to this. I was going to Albertsons one day into the grocery store, and I'm telling y'all, I, froze. And I'm looking up to my right, and I'm just frozen. And, the people in the parking lot are, literally looking at me and then looking back to see what I'm looking at. Because I'm looking like I saw a ghost or a UFO or something. And when y'all have got to Google that Little Caesars Pizza logo and just look at it. It's so trippy. And I called them. Because I have to do it. And I called, and this girl answers the phone, and I'm like, "Did y'all change your logo?" And she starts laughing, and she was the manager, and she said, and she wasn't the big manager. She was the little shift manager. She says, "Look, I noticed it. No one else has noticed, and I've told them, and no one listens to me. They're acting like I'm crazy. But, I mean, Caesars was never spelled C-A-E for me. It was C-E-A, and I am so positive. Like,
Dude,
this
that
one
looks
is just
so
like the
funny.
Berenstein Bears for me.
Oh.
This is like the Berenstein Bears to me. It's that big for me.
Oh, my goodness. Do you know something? I don't know Caesar's Pizza, so we don't have it here. But as you said it, I just wrote down C-E-A.
Yeah, I did too.
Pizza.
Yeah, I did too. I naturally typed it.
Well, guess what?
I was
Even
correct.
when you look at Caesar, if you look at Caesar's dressing, Caesar salad, Caesar himself, and I noticed now there's like a flip-flop with, see, I'm a nurse, cesarean section comes from Caesar, and it'll be spelled both ways differently on different sites. Yeah, like it'll be spelled C-E-A or C-A-E. Weird. I don't know if it's in the process of changing or...
See, I didn't know about that. I think that one's changed twice, because I'm trying to think of the other YouTuber, John. I can't think of his name.
Transliteration? No.
He's got a really small channel. No, it's named after his
Yeah,
name.
I know John.
Something.
I watched John. He's lovely. He's got a small channel. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was talking about cigars or something, I think, and the brand was something Caesars or something that changed. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but I do know. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. And I do, Sherry, I do think I watched you when because you've got a channel, and I think that was, you rang and you did say the lady was the only one who knew, you know, that it had changed. That must have been
Actually,
you.
That was the video that I was crying on. That one was like, that one really freaked me out, because that was a whole different restaurant. But what happened was, I love the Mandela effect. I've never had it freak me out. Maybe I'm just like one of those ignorance is bliss people, but I mean, I just was like, cool.
Yeah, me too.
But what happened was, when I called this girl, I was like, did you change the name of y'all's restaurant or whatever? And she literally says, no, but you're freaking me out right now, because I had a dream that I pulled up to work, and it was spelled like the way you're saying it. Well, then, I thought that was interesting, right? And then, like, 2 days later, it, like, hits me, and I'm all traumatized, like, oh, my God. And then I start thinking, I have a tendency sometimes to, get nervous about stuff. And I was just like, what if someone's, like, hacking people's minds to make them think they're dreaming that it was that, my mind just went off for a minute, and I went live on YouTube, like, and I mean, this is one of those things, and I was going to delete it, and everyone was saying, don't delete it, and I was like, oh, then Vanessa VA put it on her thing, so I was like, oh, well, that's cool,
Oh, really?
And she could have, yeah, it would have been nicer if I looked better in that one, but that was actually my first YouTube video that wasn't about like my grandsons or something, And y'all, I tried to just make a video, but then they do something so cute, and I'm like, I just got to put that on there.
Program.
Whatever, I guess I'm like, I know, I just can't help it. But anyway, yeah, that's what that one was about. The restaurant was called Chewy's. It's a Mexican restaurant. And it was spelled Cheweys for me, and now it's Chuys. And I also have a lot of weird things happening there, but, I won't get into that right now, so that's too long. But I have weird experiences every time I go in there, Nicola, every time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, but it's okay if you think, I think that too, because tapping into our thoughts and things like that, it's what we create our reality with our thoughts. Like, we do that. You have to think something first, and then you develop it for it to happen. Without a thought, nothing happens. So that kind of would make sense in a way, what you're saying, Cherry. Like, if you think something and then it happens, or you're just psychically tuning into the future, or you've lived that bit before. As in like a another reality, or probably not deja vu type thing, but you've done it before. because there's infinite amounts of Sherrys, and I believe an infinite amount of Shanes, an infinite amount of Nicholas, an infinite amount of everybody in here, all doing right now slightly different things and big things apart. Some of us aren't even on the channel today. That's what I'm thinking, because we can do anything we want at any time. It's free will. So then we go off in different tangents. Yeah, which creates different realities, because if somebody like a butterfly effect goes on, that's why there's so many different little ones. Do you think you sort of with me on that path? Yeah.
I view it that way, but just slightly differently. Instead of it, well, it doesn't really matter. I guess it's just a slight technicality, but I kind of view it like the whole double slit experiment, where there's all this wave of potential. So instead of there being an infinite amount of me's on different timelines that's running concurrent, it's more like I see it like there's an infinite amount of potential timelines, but as soon as you shift, this timeline falls away and that one becomes prickly. Pop in the quantum wave function, as they say. But it's not much different. It's just, it's just a slight thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And I was going to say that before I came on the show. That was the first thing I was going to explain it, but I forgot. I didn't write it down. So yes, okay. Jane, I'm with you. Sorry, Sherry, go.
No, I was just going to say that I'll come in with the perspective that nobody wants to hear. Like when this all started for me, I felt like this. I had learned so much about, going down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories and the occult and everything. And I just felt like that it was possible that, somebody had, like the elite or whatever had maybe attached some kind of spell or something. Some of these things, like Hollywood movies and songs, when they put them on an altar before they send them out to, make them be popular and stuff like that, and maybe put in the timeline for it to change at a certain time and all this stuff. And I felt like that about the Bible, that it was like the Antichrist and all that. But what was weird was deep down in my gut, I didn't have a bad feeling, because I feel like I've always had really good discernment, and there was something about it that was fascinating and not negative. And I would try to fit it into this I was almost sure that that's what was causing it, and I'd try to fit it in there and stuff, and I just couldn't do it. And that's why I was so thankful when I found Shane and this whole group and everything, because it really helped me shift a whole lot of things. I had a lot of fear and a lot of weird experiences and stuff like that, and it's really changed my whole life, for the better.
Yeah.
So,
it brought us all
you.
together. I feel like it's like a divine gathering for all of us. I mean, because I'm thankful because it's brought us together in a way that I don't see it would have happened before. So to me, it's been a good thing, a supernatural good thing. And, when you sort of look at the people who go the negative route, whether they believe the Mandela effect or not, they seem to agree. It's either they don't think it's happening and they say Satan's doing it and deceiving people into believing it, or they say Satan's doing it and changing it and it is happening. But at the end of the day, they're saying the same thing. I mean, if it's Satan doing it, what does it matter if it's really happening or not? I think at that point, if you're really selling the same message. But it just hasn't been this negative thing for me. It's always been really exciting. And as soon as I shifted my perspective to think, could this be a good thing? Everything just seemed to really unfold in a really positive way for me. So it's been really exciting for me, like a sci-fi movie or something.
It was nice. Yeah. Nice to have it resonate, because it wasn't fitting. My intuitive part wasn't fitting with the conclusion that I came to on my own. No one had made a video about what I just said. I mean, not from what I had come up with that all on my own, Yeah. And I was just but I mean, not the Antichrist stuff, but the first part about the different movies and songs and everything. I was just sure, and I was like, well, why do I feel? I just don't feel like that's what it is, And that's why it was just such a, I don't know how to explain it, like a sigh of relief when I found all of y'all. And that's why I love all y'all so much.
Yeah, that's the purpose I found out too.
Anyway.
I've got tears welling up in my eyes and heart right now, because I really feel so happy to be. This has been coming my whole life as well, and I feel so honoured to be a part of this whole group. And we can't put it into words. It's just, and when Jane was saying what he was saying before about, it's always been positive for me, and it's wonderful. I've never met people like you guys who can see what I can see, and I just can't wait to talk to my old pit group friends, because I used to go to a circle years ago, a light white working circle where I learned about crystals and everything, and just to see whether they're Mandela affected as well. So yeah, it'd be lovely.
Beautiful.
But it's
people
just
are chiming in,
and
and I also think, even if you're wrong about it and I'm wrong about it, it's like the power we have to create a positiveness out of it. I mean, we used to say in church when I was ultra religious, what the devil means for evil, God turns to good. So I think that would even apply here, even if it was something negative. If you really believe there's a God and he's all-knowing and sovereign, then the devil didn't pull a fast one over on God. I mean, that's bottom line. That's biblical.
Yep.
If you're a Christian, that's what you should believe. I mean, so you can think the devil did it. You could think the devil did it, but God allowed it to happen. If that's that's the Christian way of looking at it. So either way, it's not like, God woke up surprised one morning like, what the heck you been doing, devil? Changing things without me knowing about it. You know what I mean?
No, this would not happen. No. And he created Lucifer. So there's only one. So whichever God, who we call God, whichever religion, there can only be a first, because there can't be a first and a second at the same time. So there can only be one first consciousness. The consciousness is born, I don't know how, but first. There can only be a first. There may be first in each realm, maybe there's all different realms, but then there's a first out of all that can feeding the energy for all that. So, and you're right with the, if it is coming from, like Lucifer, like people may believe, with love and the power in our hearts, we can move mountains, just with one thought of our mind. So, and literally, we will be able to just think of it and change the mountain. It just will happen. I know that will happen in the future. I just could, maybe thousands of years after, we will be able to do that. And just from love, nothing can surpass love. The power of love. No darkness can enter love. It only takes a spark to get a fire going. This one flame lights up a room. There is no darkness without light. No, there's no, because we only know of darkness because of the light. Yeah, so, we wouldn't know it was dark if we didn't know about light. Because we know about light. Yeah. Does any of Sherry and Shane, do you both of you, when you close your eyes and meditate, see an inner light to the top right-hand side of your right eye, sort of inside your head, and it can be a blue or a purple or a purpley white light? But so you've got an inner light inside, or anywhere else in your body. Do you see that, Shane or Sherry?
I see the violet purple light, but it's not just in one location. It sort of just moves around in my field of vision. That was one of the things that when I had my Reiki session with Atsuko, is it looked like I was in a tunnel of purple light, but it was almost like I was in the center of a toroidal field that was rotating, so it was just giving me the tunnel effect as it was rotating around and making me feel like I was going down a tunnel. But her Reiki session really organized that purple flame and made me realize that it wasn't just something in my eyes. We're really seeing something. I don't know if it's our third eye that's picking that up. But sometimes I'll even get some gold with it, so I'll have like purple and gold, and then I've had green and purple. It's strange, yeah, and I get that during meditation.
Yes, and I'm closing my eyes now because I've just turned off the light, and I can see purple and the gold at the moment. Yes, and I have seen the green come through, especially at night, and then I see like sometimes square sort of buildings and mechanics, and sometimes I see like flowers and trees. Sometimes I see people. I see all like the outlines of they form shapes in the light. So I have that ever since I was a child. Sort of like a movie screen going on, but in the darkness behind your eyes. Yeah. So how about you, Sherry? Have you seen anything like that? Sherry still there?
Did we lose you, Sherry? No, she's in here. Are you muted, Sherry?
You might have muted it by accident.
No, she looks like she's in here. I don't know if...
She's probably talking and saying hello. Yes. Well, we're waving.
Maybe she bumped her mute button or something. We'll see.
I think probably did. Sometimes it might be best to hang up, call back, restart your phone or your computer and come in again. That's what I did. So
try it now, Sherry. I muted you and unmuted you. Nothing? No? No, I guess she's gone. We'll see if we can get her back in here.
Yep. If she can hear us, she can hang up and do the whole thing and start up again, like exit the show. And
I think she's going to hang up and call back again.
Did it? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Let me see here.
Oh.
Okay. So back to the violet purple thing. There was another time when I was laying on the bed and it was almost like I had like a really bright light, but it was coming through as blue to like towards the ground. I was laying on my side, so I was like, man, am I picking up energy off the ground or from the earth or from my bed or pillow? Or, of course I think, is the pillow pushing on the side of my eye and causing this effect, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, so that was actually behind your actual eye while you was laying on the pillow. Is that correct?
I thought it was.
What you're saying? Yeah.
I was just double checking it. I was like making sure it wasn't just some kind of weird effect from the pillow, but it, it just like it seemed to get brighter as I laid my head down. But that it forced me to open my eyes because it felt like I would see light if I opened my eyes, but it was just in my mind or in my third eye, coming from the right direction.
Yes, and tell me, because this has brought a memory back for me, it was circular in shape and sort of had another little, like circular with
For me, it was like the edge, the whole right edge of my field of vision had light coming in from it. So it was a little bit different.
Yes. So would it have been a circle and then maybe a semicircle, like but from, yes, it definitely was the side. Like if I close my eye now, I can press my eye, I can actually see it right now from the edge, like my peripherals type thing, but almost in there. I can do that straight away. Like that's always been there for me. It's purple and then darker in the middle with a lighter colour around the outside, a sort of magenta type colour. So yeah. But I haven't got a pitch black room. Because I've got really good dark curtains. I've just got beautiful lights. I'll turn these lights off and see what happens. Okay.
Yeah, because that's strange. Because typically,
there you go.
It would look red because of your eyelids, filtering it into the color of red. But it wasn't like that.
Yep. No, I haven't got red down now because now I'm in the dark darker room, I've got the purple light, and then the green comes in always in between as well, and surprising because on the color scheme, purple and yellow are the two opposite colors. That's probably why we see gold as well. And green is quite opposite to purple because red and green are the two opposite colours on the colour wheel. So purple has, red and blue make purple. So I think that's why we see those particular colours. They're there and they come from within us because we are light. We're bodies. We're light bodies, like the orbs in that. Oh, I love the. Last week you did the lovely orb show with that gentleman with all the orbs around.
Randy.
And all the
Go
fairies.
for it, Randy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was amazing, wasn't it?
That's right. Wasn't it? Oh my goodness! I just didn't get a chance to write a comment, but I was absolutely wowed out by it and seeing the fairies and I actually paused the part. I might send you a photograph. The brick wall actually came out at one point, and I drew a line around it as the fairies came in. So it was like something was shifting, but it may have been the photography. But the camera was still, it was on a tripod, so that was overlapping in time. So,
oh, yeah, I noticed that too, where it looked like it was causing I didn't know if it was sort of like a camera optimization thing that was causing it to mess up. But yeah, it looked like sort of a upside down pyramid shaped weird effect on the. I saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah, and so it's like not straight line shape, but sort of lumpy sort of thing as well, and coming out. Yeah. And I paused it, pause, and it was just, and I thought, it was too perfect shape. It was a definite shape because I drew around it with my little colour paintbrush finger afterwards, and couldn't figure out what it was, but it was just like an entity was trying to come through that wall or coming through. They caught it. That was funny. I wonder how many other people caught that too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. There was another one where, I don't know, it looked like a flying mantis being, and it was sort of warping reality around it and stuff. I don't know. It was just a bunch of weird stuff. Man, it was so cool.
Yeah, that's the first one I saw come from the right of the screen, didn't it? That's the flying mantis being. He was walking across.
It was weird, huh?
He was a male, wasn't it? Did you get the feeling that this being fairy was male?
Yep, totally. Yep, it didn't have the feminine feel about it. Yeah.
No, there you go. Oh, we touched the same things.
There was another one where it almost looked like it came out from under the leaf and made the leaf flop up, and it was really gold. It looked like a really big gold orb, and he didn't really talk about it much, but it went I guess across the sidewalk and disappeared or something. That other one was really weird too, where they all sort of disappeared through the concrete.
Oh goodness, that was amazing.
Yeah.
He said just about to go through the concrete, and they just all there. Then they just went through.
Yeah. Just teleported right through it like it was nothing. That was weird, man.
I know, and it's 5 years. Was it 3 or 5 years? I can't remember. That he's had these around him for.
I think he said 30 years, didn't he? Maybe. I don't remember. I thought it was for a while. I know Sherry's been following him for a few years, so. Yeah, so.
Yeah. Is Sherry trying to get in, and I've got to get off? Is that the way can Sherry get in? Is that what you're saying? With the phone?
She was in the chat chatting,
Did you just say that?
I don't know. She might come back. No, I said she'd been watching Randy, Go For It Randy, for several years now. So he's had some stuff posted for a while now. His channel should be much bigger than it is. I definitely think they're suppressing the information for whatever reason,
I know. Some of the channels are so small, they've only got a couple of thousand. Should be so big. And yes, that information, it's the true information. And always it cuts out when something really important is going to happen, like the computer a malfunction for a few seconds, or you know, it just sort of shut down. Yeah, always.
Even while we were talking, he started talking about that, and it started cutting out. I'm like, wow, they don't even want you talking about them doing that. That's so funny.
Oh,
but we lost him a couple of times.
We did we? Oh, but that's it's hitting the truth, isn't it? Then I believe that's what. Yeah, either that's done by a malevolent force because maybe it's too soon for everybody to truly believe in it because it may be too soon, or it's done from the people above that don't want it all getting out. So it could be done from a good force because perhaps everybody is not ready to wake up at this stage if because all this information could blow up so quickly, like within a month, really. But it's not, is it? It has to go out slowly.
Yeah, it would freak people out too much.
The human race, it would. And my dad is so set in his ways. He completely. He was so angry the day Nelson at me. He never gets angry, but at me the day Nelson Mandela died. I said, "Oh, I thought he died years ago," and he actually said, "What are you bleeping stupid? He died yesterday." I said, "I know, I can see that. I thought it was, years ago because I had a lesson at school, and I can't bring it up, And then he got the paper and showed me. He actually came back 2 weeks later and brought the paper. And I said, "Yeah, I know he died."
I get that a lot too. It's like you ask somebody something and they tell you, and then they look it up and they're like, "No, this is right. This is how it's always been." I'm like, yeah. That's the problem with the internet. And my dad watches the news every day, so that's the truth to him. Like it's like, to me, it's 5%. I would say. Yeah. And, between 5 and 15%, and then the rest of it. Yeah. But they mess up stories so much. I mean, I've been on the scene of stories and watching them unfold, and then you hear the news report, and they'll get so many details wrong about it that I'm like, what the heck? Why are they messing all that? We just had a pipe it ruptured. It was a natural gas pipe here, and they had to evacuate like 2 blocks every direction, and it took them like hours to plug this natural gas leak up. And it was so funny because we had to like avoid that whole area, and I got home and I'm like 3 miles away from where it happened, and you can smell natural gas in the air like 3 miles away from where it happened. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like really blowing a lot of natural gas out there. And the news was reporting that a gas line had exploded. Well, it had just ruptured. It never exploded. They were like dousing it with water to make sure it didn't ignite, but they still were reporting it had exploded. Like, why are they saying it exploded? I mean, you could see the gas on the footage. You could see it leaking everywhere into the air. And it, if it had lit or ignited or exploded, they wouldn't have been able to put it out until they shut the gas off, But you could clearly see there was no fire or anything, but they were still reporting it had exploded, and people would have died,
Yes. And that is just to get the views up, isn't it? Just to get the viewers in to tune in. It would have been huge, just like it's massive, just like wow. It would have been an unstoppable force until for 4 hours it was going. Yeah, like you said. I didn't see that part of the news here in Australia, but of course. But exactly. It's all blown out of proportion, and Well, one of my friends in Australia 20 years ago, my teacher actually, she got interviewed about the group, and I was working that day as my hairdressing job, so I didn't go. I didn't go for the interview, but luckily I didn't go because the the news story, it's like an after news thing, like turned it into like she was sort of a witch and into a witchcraft sort of thing, and it turned it into a negative thing. So I'm so glad I didn't go on there, because we were nothing but, of pure love and light. We learned about crystals, balancing chakras. I do readings with called psychometry, where you put it to your third eye. If somebody offers you a personal object, and I can do a reading from that. I learnt numerology. I was the only one who learnt numerology in the class. She took me aside to do that. I felt, it was really good. We become very close. So, but the news show showed Tanda as sort of like not good. Could it be witchcraft? It was because then more people would tune in, So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fear sells. Fear and anger and all that good stuff. Oh, Sherry, are you back in here?
I'm back.
Oh, okay. I thought you popped back in.
I'm like 1477973. 1477973. That's it.
You got it.
Yeah. 1477973.
Yeah. People get tripped up on that.
Make a little song out of it, and you'll never forget it. Kind of like 8675309.
Yeah, I never forget numbers. I remember everyone right back when I was 3 years old, every phone number. I don't forget them.
I always thought it was cool when, like, they had, I don't know, I used to watch that show, what was it called, Burn Notice, and, he flashed this account number at the spy, and the spy was able to, like, read it one time and then, like, remember it later on. I thought that was so cool, because I'd never be able to do that, that, like, he passed this bank account number over to him, and he was able to just look at it once, tear it up and remember it.
Yes.
I'd totally not be able to do that.
No. It just depends what you did as a very young child, and I was with numbers from a very young child, and doing double sums before I went to school. Like at the age of 3, I was doing double-figured sums, positive and negative. So because my mum taught me, and that's why. And my dad played cards with me, so yeah, that's why. So I remembered, yeah. Yeah, so Sherry, hello. So was you getting blocked because I was on the phone?
No, not at all.
Is that why?
She just, her call
No,
dropped.
my call had dropped. The call dropped. And then I was like, well, let me just go to the bathroom, get a drink, take some Excedrin, and then I came back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. But I did hear y'all talking. I heard y'all talking about meditation, and I have like a green and indigo or purple yin yang that like spins like in my,
Ooh, that's
wherever.
cool.
And then but it's more cloudy. Like it's not like a perfect yin yang. It's like little clouds. Like
I get
like
that. I get that. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That's cool that it's the same like that. Okay, and then when it first started for me, I would see like an indigo blue blotch like. And you know what's weird? I bought this meditation CD. It's called an Edgar Casey one, and whoever did some poems. And when I did not, when I started using, I didn't know what a chakra was or nothing, and I could like put that on, and they were like spinning, and like I was telling someone about it, I'm like, it feels like, like in my lower stomach, like when your baby kicks, that's what it feels like. It's freaking me out, and all this, and that's when I started learning about chakras. But on the back of that CD is a blue, indigo, purple blotch that looks just like what I see. It's so weird that they were able to put that on there, and
wow.
But a funny story about that is, I used to sleep with headphones on, and I'd play that thing like all night long. And one time I rolled over, and my headphones came out, and it was like blasting in the room or whatever. And I hurried and turned it on, and my son opens the door and he's like, "What are you doing? Trying to get Dad to astral project."
Wait, trying to get what?
Dad to astral project.
Oh, trying to get.
It was so funny. I had to be there, but it was so funny, y'all.
That's hilarious.
He's like,
He was sleeping right through it. Maybe it worked.
oh yeah.
Maybe your higher
Yeah,
self
it
jerked the
was so
cord out of
loud.
there and sent him off on a journey.
Yeah, it was like an old CD player.
Yeah, that's right.
I was all tangled up in and rolled over and it was yeah, that was funny.
I always had such a hard time waking up, and I would set my stereo to be blaring, and then I thought it would scare me awake, but all I did was really piss my neighbors off because I lived in an apartment at the time. And I noticed they started like frowning at me, and I was like, how did I sleep through that for like an hour? Well, it's like 6 a.m, so, oh my gosh, it was horrible. I never tried that after.
Oh, do you know something, Shane? I'm like you. I can only wake up to certain tones, and I have to have one that goes now, but otherwise it just goes on and on. I'm a very deep sleeper at this point in time. So I really need to rest. And yeah.
Yeah, the only way I can for sure wake up is if I go to bed really early and drink a lot of water, have to wake up and pee and drink a lot more water to where I know it's going to wake me up later.
Me too. That is going to...
It's actually a lucid dreaming tip. They call it like, I don't know, something about you like drink all kind of water and then you'll have the urge to pee. And how many people have had that dream where you dream that you're like on the toilet about to go to the bathroom, and then you might have it a few times because you really don't want to get up and go to the bathroom or whatever. But what you do is all during the day, you just, anytime that you're go to the bathroom, you just question your reality. Am I dreaming? What was I doing 10 minutes ago? You realize that it's not like a weird, it's not a dream situation, or else you would, when you're in a dream, it's just like everything's weird. There might have been a pink elephant in front of you a minute ago or whatever. But it's a way to bring yourself into lucidity. Actually, I learned so much from little kids online because they lucid dream and they make videos about it. And that's one of the things they use is drinking a lot of water before bed, and then they'll dream they got to go to the bathroom, and they can, trigger lucidity.
That's neat, because one of the dreams, a recurring dream for me, is that I'll go to the bathroom, whatever situation I'm in, wherever I'm at in the dream or whatever, and then I can't figure out why I have to go to the bathroom again right away. Do you guys ever do that?
Me too.
I just peed. Why do I have to go pee again already? And then I can't figure out why I have to pee so much. But I keep peeing over and over in my dream.
Yes, I've done that too. Yeah.
I know. I just done that. Yes.
So you can use it. You can use that to make yourself become lucid in a dream, and then you can go do be whatever you want to do, go or be.
Yes. Do you go fly then? When I know I'm in a lucid dream, I mainly get up and fly, or go and see and do some special things, or get an action movie and make it like, I'm the character and I save people, and I do a lot of movies, make a lot of movies up in my dreams as well.
Yeah.
I love talking about this. This is my favorite subject. Like I could talk about lucid dreaming, out of body experience like for hours and hours and hours on end. That's like my thing.
I wish I could.
So I love.
Yeah, that's a cool topic.
Tell me something cool, Nicola, that you did in a lucid dream.
In a lucid dream, I have a series of school. I can go back into the same dream and have the next episode, and I have like another life. Yeah, have you got a second life, have you? I have a second life that I have in my sleep, that I have the privilege of going back and remembering what I did, and it's different teachers, but it's different teachers to what they were in real life. But I have a couple of friends that will join me from my actual high school in that dream. And I go back, and it's just episodes, many episodes. And so you have that too, Shane? Do you? You have like a episodes of dreams that you remember that you sort of continue on from? when
Well,
you realise
actually,
you're in there?
for me, it's like I'll be having a dream. I'll wake up and either I'll mess something up and I'll go back in it and rewind it a little bit and like do it differently, or
Wow.
or I'll just
yes.
continue it on. Like I'll wake up and realize I was dreaming and I'm like, oh man, I got to get back in there. That was cool. But one of the things I used to do is listen to action adventure movie soundtrack where it's like dun 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 dun, dun, you know, and it's like really intense. And listen to that while you sleep, and it gives you some incredible dreams. Let me tell you, I've like woken up like sweaty and my heart just pounding because of like some of the dreams I was having. But you know, my wife discouraged me from doing that. She goes, "You're not getting good rest if you're sitting there like running from stuff in your sleep." I'm like, but it's so fun.
Your wife is my husband. He just watches you listen to things all night. I know I'm awesome sleep. Awesome sleep.
It's a blast though, and it makes you remember it. It's so intense that you remember them, you know.
It is, isn't it? I think it's because it's the set. You got your sound, which does enter and plays a role in your dream. It is so intense. You can remember the details. I can remember a dream from when I was 7 years old when I woke up on my 7th birthday. A fairy was coming through the window in the car. I was sitting in the back seat, and the window was rolled down just a quarter of the way, and a fairy was coming in from the right side. I was sitting behind the driver's wheel in Australia, in England and Australia. The driver's wheel is on the right, and a fairy was just coming through, and Mum woke me up and said, "Oh, it's your birthday." And I said, "Mum, I was just dreaming about a fairy." And then we went on, but I always remember that dream from when I was 7 years old, and I could see everything, and we were in a car park, and it's very detailed. Yeah.
See, I
have
feel like
details
that's not real. I feel like that's real. I feel like that's not just a dream. Like, if you ever look into like Edgar Casey, he had all kind of experiences with like fairies and gnomes when he was a child. And his book, it's not his book, and it's not an autobiography. What's a biography? Mm-hmm. And this guy wrote, about him so beautifully. It's called "There Is a River," and y'all promise me, like, if you don't read any book in your whole life, we were talking about the Celestine prophecy, this book is like phenomenal and like magic, and just it's so amazing. But he had all kind of experiences with fairies and gnomes and stuff like that when he was little, and he talked to angels and all that stuff. And it's just, there's a fine line between like, real and stuff like communicating with the dead and stuff like that. Like, just really quick, this one story I was going to say earlier is so cool, because this one guy, he finally got out of body and he wanted to go see his dad who passed away, and his dad was this big fisherman. And so he goes and he finds his dad, and his dad's living in this cabin, and he has this big pond, and he's fishing, and he's like, "Hey, son," and all that stuff, and he goes, "You know what? This pond has saltwater and freshwater fish, because, see, you can create your own, like, heavenly experience after you die. You don't have to, hang out at Focus 27, which is like the biblical type heaven would be like what Robert Monroe calls Focus 27, or other people call the park. And there's just so much, they can create their whole afterlife realm. It's really interesting,
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. It's like he really joined his dad there. So it's like, when you die, you move on to a different transition of a different life, more malleable. Yeah.
That reminds me of the dream I had.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I had shared it on the show not long ago about visiting my dad in his house that he lived at for so long, and he had some impossible renovations, and I was sitting there, and I'm like, "How did you do this? Did you knock the whole back of the house out?" And I'm like trying to figure it out, and he's looking at me like he used to look at me when we were playing checkers, and he had me beat, but he was like just watching me to see when I realized he had me beat, and he'd have this kind of smirk on his face, and he loved to watch my wheels turn and figure everything out, and he was doing that in this dream, like looking at me with a smirk, like seeing how long it would take me to figure out, what was going on, and that this was a dream state that I was in and all of this. And then I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I really visited my dad in my sleep, and he was enjoying, instead of like talking to me and saying, oh, you're asleep and explaining everything, he was just enjoying watching me try to figure out how all this impossible stuff had happened to the house, you know. And so yeah, it was really cool.
Oh, I've had goosebumps upon goosebumps, which means confirmation that was your father.
Yeah.
It definitely was, Shane. He definitely, that was his energy. Oh my goodness. Oh, they're huge.
Yeah.
Do you ever get the goosebumps all over? And that's
oh yeah, all the time.
Confirmation. That
Yeah.
means it's truth.
Yeah.
It's. Oh my goodness. I
Yeah.
haven't had this bad for a while. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah, I got
wow,
that with
that's magical. How?
with the whole Michael Jackson thing. That's why, you know, I really resonate with Sherry talking about Michael Jackson all the time, because, you know, one day I was thinking about the Michael Jackson stuff and I had the song playing in my head. It was like, what is it? I Can Feel It, or
it's called Can You Feel It by the Jackson 5, and if you look at the video, it's really before its time, you know.
It looks like there's this rainbow bridge. It just looks very like Ascension-y looking, right? And I've got the song playing in my head, you know, and I'm like, what is that song playing in my head? And I finally was like, wait a minute, is that one Michael Jackson song? And I was covered with those tingles you're talking about, like from head to toe. I just started like, you know, we would call it the Holy Spirit back in church, but you just feel this warmth and this peace, and all these tingles fill your body. And then I had to go look it up, and sure enough, it was Michael Jackson. He like made it play in my head as it was just as a confirmation, because I had been listening to Sherry talk about all this Michael Jackson stuff, and it was like he separately confirmed everything she had been saying. So it was really cool.
And then, Nicola, what happened was I went into that weird restaurant I told you about right after that happened to him. And I walked in that restaurant, and right when I walked in and we're like waiting to be seated, that song started playing, and I like recorded it on a video and like put it on my channel, because I'd said every time I go in there I get, well, one time I got a different message about the UFO I saw, but the rest of the time it's always a Michael Jackson song playing. And I was like, I told him that it always happened, and then I went in there that day and it happened, and I recorded it.
And the thing is, she had told me She had
Yeah.
told me earlier that day that she was going to go out and eat with her mom at this restaurant, and she goes, we'll see if a Michael Jackson song plays. It always plays. And like, it wasn't an hour later, she like has this video of it playing as she goes in there. So she actually said it was going to happen before it happened. It was weird. It was really weird.
It did. I believe I listened to that as well the same day that it was on as well. Because your mum was, because I thought it was your sister, but it was your mum, was it, Sherry? Did you say?
With me? Yeah, that was my mom, yeah.
Oh, your mum. I thought it was your sister. So, yes, I was listening. That was a while ago, wasn't it?
Maybe a month ago or
that
something.
one out.
Yeah. It was probably a
How
couple
many
months
months?
ago, but yeah, it's...
Yeah, a few months, yeah.
Yeah,
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to copy that link.
Nicola, you saw the Michael Jackson video that I did with Shane way back when, or no? You did? Okay, because I didn't know if you knew the whole story or not. I was just going to say that I was not a fan of his at all and stuff, because, you know, and he just, like, led me on to a mission that, you know, and I've been doing it and everything, and I've actually, like, had, like, I'd say, like, some spiritual attacks and stuff from that work that I do. And he always gives me reassurance to not be afraid, and always leads me to who I'm supposed to be with to make me not be afraid.
That's amazing.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. And with fear, false expressions appearing real. Yeah, just white light, have no room for it, and nothing can harm you. When people get the mindset they believe it can harm you, that's when your energy can get sucked away. But don't worry, you can always just push it away, and you can there's infinite energy out there in the universe of good energy to tap into, and the universe wants you just as much as you want God in the universe. So it's a symbiote circle. Like, so yeah, we're always going to be loved, and we feel so deeply, don't we? All of us three here, and everybody in the room. I can just feel it.
Yeah. I love all y'all so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Pardon, you love Michael? Yeah. I'll please just tell you one thing. I was in Bangkok, okay, with my husband 14 years ago, and Kylie Minogue's song was a popular song in Australia. And it goes, I can't just get you out of my head. Anyway, now, we didn't listen to any good music. We on the boat over, we come on a Chinese boat, and it was always in Chinese, like shing shong shang shong shong shong. And you know, I was in my mid-20s, early 20s, and I really wanted to listen to a good song. And I said, what if we go to a club around the corner, and the Kylie Minogue song was playing, Can't Just Get You Out of My Head. And I walked in, and I went, oh my God, it's playing. And it was just in Bangkok. Out of any song I could have picked in the entire universe, that song played. I'd never picked it before, and I never thought of before till then, and it was playing in this pub that there was only 2 people in.
You know what? It's kind of weird that you said that, because I mean, this is a short little story, but listen to this. Okay, so my friend Megan that I met at Austin at New Year's, she had sent me this doll made by this guy Michael that's from New Orleans, and she's like a little dancer ballerina doll, and I've like speech dance and stuff like that. So okay, so anyway, I love this doll so much, and I had a dream, and I don't know, long story short, it made me remember a lucid dream that I'd had and like re-experience it, and it was just really neat. So anyway, long story short is I go to bed and I'm sleeping, and all of a sudden I hear the alarm go off on an alarm clock that's like not set, and it's playing that song by Elton John, Tiny Dancer, and I knew it was about a dog, and I like rolled over and like turned it off and all this stuff, and like when I looked at it, like it wasn't tuned in good, that the song wasn't, because it was like an alarm clock radio. Well, I get up in the morning, and I'm telling my mom about it, and my mom's looking at me like I'm crazy, and she's like, Jerry, that clock back there doesn't have a radio in it. It's just an alarm clock. And I'm like, no, I heard this song because I don't know all the words to it, and the whole song played, and I laid there awake and listened to it, knowing that it was about the doll that Megan gave me. And so, like, I hadn't been out shopping or anything so it was like a lucid dream. And then today, I went to the store because I'm going to be spending a whole week, like 9 days with my grandbaby, taking care of them while they go out of state. So I went to get some stuff, and right when we get in there, all of a sudden that same song comes on up on the speaker through the store. And I'm like, that's so cool, because I haven't heard that song, but only the chorus of it, like, years and years and years ago. And it just, like, it had to do with my doll and with Megan. And real quick, just to make this story even better, is that the original dream was, okay, this doll, she doesn't have any feet. She has, like, points at the end of her legs. And I had a dream that Prince, the singer, had, like, allowed me in a lucid dream to, like, dance, like, on points like that and, like, jump, like, really high and do these big spins and everything for a long, 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 long time. And it was really awesome and cool. And when I picked up that doll, when I picked up the doll, it triggered me to remember the dream. And then she has, like, a third eye embroidered on her, and she has a big purple heart on her chest, it's velvet. Like, it just is so Prince, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So I know that story sounds dumb probably to some of y'all, but it was really a beautiful thing for me, the whole thing,
That's one of those echo things you were talking about too, technically, isn't it? Like things that happen beforehand that make sense now.
I have that happen all the time. I call it the echo thing, and yes,
Yeah, where things that happened before begin to make sense with things that are happening now. And I've seen that a lot, you know, like with the Milton the Early Riser book. That was my favorite book as like a little kid, a preschool kid, that my mom would read me. And it was like, you know, it's like now I'm in this time. And the little panda bear was, you know, white and black. And I grew up multiracial, you know, white and black. So it was like, it was just the symbolic thing of my life of like in the book, he's like going around trying to wake up all the other animals. And that's like the whole book, you know, he goes to these animals, and finally, you know, they all begin to wake up or whatever. But yeah, that's really crazy.
Wow. And what is this book called? What was it called, Shane?
It was called Milton the Early Riser.
Milton the Early Riser.
Yeah.
I'm going to read that. I'm going to look it up, the Early Riser, and get it, and just to see what you read, your mum read to you as a child.
Yeah, you can find it where they read it. Yeah, they actually read it on a YouTube video. When I found it, it actually it was so much nostalgia seeing those pictures because I'd seen them at like 4 or 5 years old, you know, like over and over and over again. So they were deeply ingrained in my memory. And to like pull it up and see all those images in the cover. I mean, I remember the name of the book after 40 years, you know what I mean? And it was like, wow, that's just so crazy. You know, it was just one of those things that really brought me to tears to see how my whole life has been guided up to this point. It's not just something that recently happened to me, but my entire life has led me to this very point I'm at right now. And it's always been orchestrated and planned, you know, even though I didn't realize it. You know? Incredible.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, that's amazing. That the fact that you know that's just awareness and awakeness in itself. That's just that's beautiful. Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. My heart opens up when I hear things like that. It's just lovely. Oh my goodness! Wow.
That's crazy.
Oh,
I had that.
Yeah, go on, Sherry.
No, I was just going to say, I had that echo thing come to me, like, the other day I was listening to Heart, that song, These Dreams, and it's the only song I'd ever heard where it's almost like they, you know how they'll sing something and then say it after, like someone in the background, like, sings that part? Well, it's like reverse on there. It's like they sing the backup singer part first before they sing the other part. And then it just came to me all of a sudden that, like, my whole life has, like, been like that. Like, I have, like, just, like, an echo that's before that after.
Echoes of the future rather than echoes of the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really points at the timelessness of how, you know, people say time's not a real thing, and that really shows you.
I get tired. I get all deep.
Yeah. It's definitely not real. It's only here because it needs to be, because you know, to orchestrate a linear timeline for us to grow in. But now we're realizing it is malleable and it isn't. I've always had deja vu, 4 times deja vu. Like I said, this is the 4th time it's happened, and I remember saying it's the 3rd time, and I remember saying the first time it was deja vu. Like, things happen like double, triple, and 4 times deja vu I've even had. So it's really a treat. Yeah, I love it when I get that. And then I look and I kind of can predict what's happening next. When that happens, I go, oh, and a couple of other things happen for a few minutes that I sort of know what's going to happen, and then it sort of fades away. So, yeah, really, really, yeah. And
it's exciting times to be alive.
So it is.
It's so exciting, yeah.
It is. It's what we've all been waiting for all of our lives. So I expect every one of us to affect something. I was barely 3 years old, perhaps 2.5, and I came out of a dream, and I said to myself, before Mum came in, how do I know what is this dream, whether life is life? Because in the dream, Mum said that. I said, Mum, are you real? And she said, of course I'm real. And I asked her like 3 times in the dream, and it was the same answer. And then when she came into my room, I said, Mum, are you real? And she said, of course I'm real, darling, you know, like that. And I knew that before she came in, I knew that one day I was here for either something different, I said something special, but then I said, no, it's not special, not bigger than sort of anybody else, but I knew I was going to be part of something. This is at 3 years old. And I said, look, when I'm grown up, I will be doing something, and it will be something to help. I knew it would be something good. I knew I was good at heart, like love. I knew it was good. So I knew it was going to happen in the future. And then when the Mandela effect came, I went instantly, that was it. And I went way back to 3 years old, and I knew that was what it was. You know, it wasn't when I started group, you know. I mean, that was the first step to opening, coming awake. But when it was the Mandela effect, I was in the movies. I was in the, you know, the whole sequence, the Superman, the Supergirl, everything. I was just in everything. That's how it was for me. It was like waking up into what's been waiting my whole life. So I know it can't just be about me enjoying it. It's about me helping and spreading the love around, you know, like we're all doing. Yeah, like what you're doing with the channel with 8 at 8, and what we're all doing now is talking about it.
Yeah, I can't think of a better job to have.
No, I just, yeah, and but I really hope that YouTube continue allowing these channels, and I believe that we will somehow, because we're here to do good, and we will be. You will be all right, Shane, and it will be, and it will pay the bills as well, because I know it's not about the money for you, but it's nice to be paid for what, because you do need to put, you know, food on the table and do everything like that as well. So it'll be fantastic for it to be both. But it's, for me, you know, the job I'm going into with the crystal healing, and I will open a channel, but it's just not happening yet at the moment. I keep having these accidents, and I know why, because it's just not ready. I'm not ready to teach because the universe isn't allowing me to, because I just need to recover properly within myself. So, you know, but yeah, definitely a teacher. I am, and a student, definitely, both equally. Yeah, a teacher and a student at the same time. Yeah. That's all right.
I see myself as a student with friends coming along for the ride.
Yeah.
We're all learning together, you know.
Yes, and yet you are a teacher, because you've led everybody and opened the channel. So yeah, it's funny that way, how you're very humble. Yeah, you're a good person, Shane. Yeah,
I try to be.
Yeah.
We still got plenty of work to do, though.
Yeah. Well, that's what I always think about myself too. I always think, oh, I could do better, and you know, but you know you do. Then you think you always do the best at the time that you know, even if you do stuff up in life or whatever. But you do the best at what you know at that point in time. Move on and forgive yourself. If you need to say something to somebody else, sorry for what, you know, you may have done something, then I do that, and then I move on. And then that's the way I've released myself from everything. It's brilliant. So yeah. Because we're not all perfect. We're spiritual beings learning to be human, actually now learning to remember spirituality back again as well. So it's huge, actually. Yeah, because Sherry, you're going to say something, aren't you?
No, I'm just saying that I hope that everybody, I wish that everybody could, like, you know, totally make a living at what it is that they want to do, because, like, you know, like stuff like what Shane's doing is so important. And there's a lot of research that goes in, like you might have someone on and you need to read this big old book or whatever. Like, people don't realize it's probably not just the time that somebody's on air as much as research that goes into each thing, you know. Like doing something little like what I'm doing is different, but when they're having like big guests on there, you know what I mean? There's just so much more to it. So, and plus, like what you do is so important because just like with me being a nurse, it's so hard for me to, a lot of people don't realize the struggle that I go through because I don't really agree with a lot of these medicines that, you know, that are given to my patients, you know, and there's so much like, you know, like little elderly people that like want to refuse their medicine and they want to try to make them take them. It's just they have a right to refuse. That's their right, you know. And I just, it's really, a lot of it is a struggle for me, especially I'm working in psych right now, and there's a fine line between like the spiritual and the medical part of it. And there's just, the doctors just don't really see that, you know, that, you know, with the old lady that comes in that just keeps seeing her dead son, so all of a sudden they're going to admit her. Well, you know, I mean, I feel like she's probably really sees her dead son, and then I'll sneak and, like, talk to her about it, and, like, it helps them, you know, and, you know, I've had patients on ventilators that I've played, like, out-of-body interviews for and stuff, and they say, oh, he's unresponsive, he can't speak and all this, but then when I say, Mr. Ricky, you want to hear another, you know, interview about out of body, and he says yes and nods his head to me. And I sneak and play like on his pillow. And I mean, it's like, it's hard for me. Sometimes I just wish I did something else, you know.
You're exactly where you're meant to be, because what more perfect person to be a nurse other than you, because you can see this. And if there's somebody else in your position that was just, you know, like oblivious to it, then the patients wouldn't get the care, and the help you do is so huge. It's bigger than you could ever imagine, and what it does for each person you go in there every day. It is absolutely wonderful, and I just want to thank you so much, because that, you know, if that was my mum or my dad, or that is brilliant. And you need to look after yourself with protection to absorb, because you must feel so sad for these people. So if you, before you go in there, it's okay to say it. You imagine like white light around your body, and you say, this is not my pain. So you go to, and then you can say it a few times in your mind during the day. So when you're helping somebody, you say, this is not my pain, so you don't absorb. You're still there fully to help the people, but you're not absorbing the negative energy that will drain you. So you feel, you know, so you're so tired to actually. That can happen when you're a nurse, and people that help people, they can get very drained, especially when you tune into emotions and things like that. Do you find that, or
Actually, it's just you're making me like have a big realization about that. Like I'm like tripping out. Like it's helping me. I mean, I know what you mean now. Wow. Never thought of that.
Okay.
I never thought of that. And I try so hard to like put myself in their position, you know, like I'm just really non-judgmental of them and things like that. And, you know, wow. That's like a big deal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like.
Oh, no, thank you and thank you. So, yes. So you say that this is not my pain. So it does not stop you from helping them any less. In fact, you're helping them more, because you will have more energy within yourself. And when you go home, you will not feel as drained. And it's always good to go home and have a shower and wash your aura, because having a shower helps wash your auric field, or have a shower and have a nice bath or something. Or just, you know, have a shower and just, you know, feel refreshed. And you can always say that this is not my pain, you know, when the memories come up at the end of the day. But you can still think of them. You think of your patients, but you know it's not your pain. So you don't have to take it on. that you can still be there fully for them, but it's not your pain.
That's amazing. I never even thought about something like that. So I'm going to really try to incorporate that some,
Yeah. And do you have any crystals at home? Do you have any crystals?
Yeah, I do. I have some, and I end up giving a lot of them away. But I do have a lot, and I have a rose quartz pyramid that I really like. But recently, I'm guided to give that to somebody that I'm going to give it to. So, I kind of get them and then give them away. But there's 2 amethysts I have that are really important to me that I'll never get rid of. And,
wow.
Yeah. One of them is from my friend Monica that I met at the Monroe Institute. And look, she actually would go, her mom has dementia, and she would go out of body at night and hang out with her mom, even though her mom was bedbound with dementia and her dad was taking care of her. So when she goes out of body at night, she gave me an amethyst to connect to her, and yeah. So I can feel it with these amethysts when I hold them. You can feel the energy from them, So those 2 I'll probably never give away to anybody. But
yes, because do you know something? And I am telling you 100% truth just now. I was going to recommend to you rose quartz and amethyst. They were the only 2 I was going to recommend you to have next to your bed. I swear. Now, the rose quartz is best held in your left hand because you're receiving the healing, gentle, loving energy. And you can put a piece on your heart, just in the middle of your chest when you go to bed. And if it rolls off in the night, that's fine. Just, make sure it's not a sharp one like that. Get a smooth one that you put on your heart chakra. Because they recommend green on your heart chakra, but also pink. Rose quartz is brilliant. So you could hold one and put a pink one. And the amethyst, I would put wherever you feel right or left. But if you put it in your right hand, you can actually transform any negativity that may have attached itself to you, or you've absorbed throughout the day, and transfer it to the amethyst. Thank the amethyst crystal for doing this. So you imagine any negativity going into the amethyst. Then afterwards, you cleanse them. So, and if you haven't got salt water or underneath the moon, at hand, the best way to cleanse the crystal is you hold it in your left hand, you put it under your nose, and you gently just breathe the breath of your nose just across the crystal. And that is the purest breath in the world. Now you do that with love, and that will cleanse the crystal. So if anybody else has touched it, all their energy will be imprinted into the crystal, because crystals absorb our energy. So that's like crystals of memory. So you just put and gently, just blow your nose gently across. I know it sounds weird, but in your left hand with love, and your crystal's cleansed, and I turn it over. I do both sides of it, and then it's ready to go for the next time. And otherwise, I just clean them in Himalayan salt water. I've never done under the moon thing, but I've read about it. You put them under a full moon, but that's not available all the time, is it? So yeah, I cleanse my crystals every time before I use them every night. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I knew some of those things. I do the left hand thing, and I also sleep with my crystals on my body all the time. But
you do
know the other things. I never knew about cleansing them and stuff like that. I do that. I put them out like that before I do a meditation, when I meditate for the children, abused children thing. But I didn't know that I clean them all the time like that. So that's a good thing to learn. And that's really neat that you know all that stuff. But let me ask you this. I've always been drawn to, and then I found out Edgar Cayce was all into it, and then I found out that Swaru liked it, and I've always had some kind of lapis. And then when I went to Edgar Cayce's place, I got a lapis with the ARE, that lapis lazuli. What do you know about that?
Lapis lazuli. Do you know something? I'm holding a piece in my hand right now with the rose quartz, so I talk for
Me too. I have it in my hand right now.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Lapis lazuli is I just bought 3 pieces off online. Actually, it's my most favourite crystal. I've learned one of my most favourite crystals. What do I know about it? First of all, it goes on the throat chakra and actually helps you to communicate the correct words and what to say if you want to say something to help somebody, like, or profound, or help heal. If you help heal yourself, if you can't get the words out, to say you want to confront somebody but you don't want to hurt their feelings, but you want to get something out, you meditate with a lapis lazuli on your throat. I do know that the ancient Egyptians used to use them. They used to ground them into a fine powder, and I don't know whether they mixed it with anything, but they used to drink it after they used to have alcohol, and it used to cure a hangover or whatever they would have substance they took the night before. But look, don't go and do that. Okay, this is because lapis. Sorry, go on.
No, I just felt like it had an Egyptian connection. Just recently, I felt that. So it's neat that you said that. That was confirmation for me of just the thought I had.
Yes, yep. And the difference between lapis lazuli and sodalite, because many people sell you sodalite, which is very similar looking, and say it's lapis, but lapis lazuli has flicks of like a goldy colour through, as well as the gold and another sort of I can't really see in this light, another sort of white, a bit of white and gold, but sodalite just has blue and white. So, but some people might say it's lapis lazuli, and it's not. So, lapis is very rare lately in Australia, and I managed to get 3 pieces the other day, which is really good over the internet. So,
I can't wait to have you on. You're so knowledgeable about all these crystals and stuff, and I'm like the total noob when it comes to crystals, so I'm really looking forward to being able to schedule you on for a full,
Thank you, Shane. Thank you so much. I really am looking forward to it as well. And I did, when I said yes the other day, I really meant yes, definitely. But
yeah,
what
and people
I
are
have
chiming
to
in
do
that
is
they love the information.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know about all the crystals. I might know about, say, 1 dozen crystals, but what the knowledge I do know, I know really well. So I won't try to teach something that I know half about. I'll teach things that I know within myself.
No, that's perfect.
So, with all the chakras and, all the things you can do with them. And, it's not funny, Sherry, that you just, the 3 crystals that I was thinking, was the amethyst and the rose quartz. And lapis lazuli coming to my mind, but I thought, no, I won't mention that. And it's funny how you mentioned that. And because I changed my mind before I spoke to you about mentioning it, for some reason it flicked through my mind. Then you brought it up, Sherry.
That's so weird because I got all those on accident,
I think your higher self was doing it for you.
Yeah. So thank you, Nicola, for all this information. I cannot wait till you do a show. I can't wait. That's
Look, thank you guys so much. That means so much to me. It really means a lot to me, and I'm very, very looking forward to doing it, Shane. So, a time frame will be about a couple of months, I would say, with this knee, and just to,
well, no rush. You get better. You gotta take care of yourself, So that's the main thing. So get better.
I'm so looking forward. I'm just so, because when I get on fire, and I start tuning I love it, and I know what the universe is telling me at the moment, because I'm having these little accidents with things to slow me down. I've got to take time and do it, and when I do it, I've got goosebumps. Yeah, I'm saying the right thing. When I do it, it will be the right time, and I'll just be off then. It'll just be with my life. Like that will be my life, which is brilliant. So, but when you do it, you've got to do it well. You've got to do it. If you know you're doing it half-heartedly from the heart, I don't believe to do that. You've got to give all you know, all you can, and then you feel wonderful about it as well. You feel energized right now. I feel on top of the world. But both of you are lovely.
I love that. Everybody in the chat's loving it too. It's like, I love that we can come together like this.
Bless you all.
Pump each other up and stuff. It's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on and spending the evening, the Friday, Saturday afternoon for, for Nicola.
Yes, that's absolutely. It's really late for you guys. So yes, I'll let you go first, and then you and Sherry finish up, don't you? Because I'll say goodbye first.
No, I'm going to let me go too. I love you, Nicola.
Yeah.
I love you too. Thank you.
I love you guys so much, and love you guys in the chat. We'll see you in the next one. Join us tomorrow night for the Power of 8 at 8 with Eileen, and then you will be joining us Monday night. Me and Sherry will be doing our new show Monday, and so looking forward to all that. Lots of love and light to all of you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, you guys.
Bye-bye. Love you all. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.